Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, January 9th, and we're opening the Board of Selectmen's meeting. Anybody here other than Freetown is recording the meeting? I'm recording the meeting because Allie's sick. Anybody else recording the meeting? Okay. All right, 6:05, we're going to talk about, on the agenda we have discussion about Excel recycling. And before that, anybody else here for any other public discussion? We'll take that first. Nobody? Okay. And then we've got a number of things on the agenda once we finish with the Excel discussion. Anybody that wants to speak about the Excel complaint or whatever you have to talk about, please identify yourself so we'll have it for the record. So let's wait until 5 past and then we can do it.
You want to speak into something first?
We could. You want to do that?
We don't know.
Police chief has submitted the December ambulance abatements in the amount of $40,375.02. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to accept.
Second motion, accept $40,375.02.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see. Next, an easy one would be to sign the agreement between Freetown and Lakeville regarding the animal shelter. We discussed that at the last meeting.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to sign the agreement between Freetown and Lakeville as submitted by Animal Control Officer.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And they did ask us to read this to the public. The Lakeville Animal Control Officer cannot accept stray dogs from anyone other than the Freetown Animal Control Officer. However, Lakeville will accept dogs from their owners that are being surrendered as long as they pay the standard $50 surrender fee. That's for the public's information. All right, that is done. Let's see what we got here. A couple more minutes. Another minute.
We can do the
How about the
minutes.
standard mileage? Oh, you want to do?
Yeah, we can do the mileage.
The standard mileage rate has changed by the Internal Revenue Service, so the Board of Selectmen normally adopts the mileage rate set forth by the IRS, and our town accountant has given us the rate of .53, that's 53.5 cents a mile is the standard rate effective January 17th. The board needs to adopt that, so that will be the rate that's being paid.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Take care of that. Another minute, what can we do in another minute? Approve the Board of Selectmen minutes?
I have some grammatical stuff.
All right,
I'd
so
rather
we'll
leave
wait.
that
All
over.
right, we'll hold on to that.
No, we'll just wait. Is there anything else that's point action?
Okay. All right.
Oh, you know what? You could read the public notice from the tax collector. While everybody's here.
I think I got my sheets now. All right, one more thing before we start with the discussion regarding Excel. Everybody received their tax bills. This is a notice regarding the tax bills. The tax rate for 2017 for the town of Freetown, certified by the Bureau of Accounts from the Department of Revenue, is residential tax rate is $13.32. Commercial, personal property, and industrial is 21.22 cents per thousand. Please be advised that there's a typo on the real estate property tax bills from the printer, which stated that the residential rate is $13.22 rather than $13.32. This is a misprint only. The bills are calculated properly. In fact, the documentation that the town treasurer has sent to the billing company was accurate. They had a typo in it. But if you compute out your bill, you got to compute it out. If it's a residential bill, you got to compute it out at $13.32, not $13.22. We've got that notice on the website, so anybody has any questions can also call the treasurer's and collector's office at 508-644-2204. All right? That should take care of that. All right, 6:05. And we have on the agenda discussion with residents regarding Excel recycling. Who wants to start it off?
My name is Manuel Bandera. I live at 5 Alexander Drive. When this first started for a permit at his shop, I was one of the ones that were there. And I asked some questions. And the EPA and DEA, whatever the guy was, said that they tested all this stuff. I told them, how do you test something that's not there? And they said, well, we haven't a judgment, on what they're gonna do and what we expect. Well, it was nothing what they expect, believe me. Because I invite every one of you and your family, I will pay for breakfast, dinner, and supper to come in to my home and spend the day there. And you tell me if you want your children to be around there or you want to live in there when your body is vibrating when you're at your breakfast counter in the morning. And it's not smoke, it's actually metal pollution. I'm a construction worker myself, so I know what rust tastes like, I know what burnt wires smell like. And I tell you what, the first week it started up, I goes, hey, that's not that bad. Not knowing myself that it's brand new equipment. You do not run it at full speed when it's brand new. Now they ran it for a week. They opened it up, believe me, when I say they opened it up. The house is banging, the plates are banging. You could not see their business. You could not see their business from this gentleman's home, which is in a dense settlement. The pollution that was coming out of those rubber mats to the stack was unbelievable, okay? I was actually choking in my driveway. And if you think I'm making this up, I invite you to my home. For you can actually adjust it for yourselves. Because it's unbelievable. It's not even human to have that there. Okay, that's all I got to say. Like I said, I invite all your families, and I will pay for their breakfast, dinner, and supper to hang in my home. And you told me that it's okay. That's all I say.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I also live there, 5 Alexander Drive. I made a call to the Board of Health.
Your name, please.
Joyce Bandera.
Okay.
I called the Board of Health. I said, go to my driveway and see what my husband is experiencing. And he couldn't even stand the smell. He said he was choking. So if he experienced it, then it's just not us complaining. And if you have children, babies, I have grandchildren, I can't go out. I can't open my windows. What am I gonna do? Stay in my house for the rest of my life? Let them come live where we are. I'll go live where they are. See how they like it. It's inhumane.
Okay. Who else?
Mr. Chairman, Charles Sullivan, 46 High Street. And why I brought this, had it put on the agenda a couple of weeks ago, is back in the summer when we met with the Costas, one of the things that Mr. Costa said that he wanted to be a good neighbor. Okay, and my concerns are this: there was a Department of Environmental Protection license given to Excel, and with certain stipulations, and one of them was that they were to put up a sound barrier on the east side of their property. Their sound barrier consists of a fence about 18 feet high with 1 by some dimension boards on telephone poles, not a sound barrier. The sound barrier on the north is empty containers, apparently empty containers, because you hear the vibration. The stipulation was, I think we all agreed, was that it was supposed to be 10 decibels above ambient sound, which was basically a whisper. It is, and that was at their property line, which would have been from my property line over the railroad right away. I can hear it. I'm between 800 and 900 feet away on an elevation. When the shredder is run, it sounds like there's a freight train going by, or a constant thunder. Okay, that's definitely not within the 10 decibel. The other concern that I now have is that when the shredder it's discharged over a conveyor and dropped about 15, 18 feet. There's small pieces of metal, and that is about the consistency of aluminum foil, which has been blowing throughout my property, and the snow has covered it now, but if you were to look along the railroad, along the property line there's all kinds of debris. They aren't holding up to what the stipulations were in the DEP permit. I don't know if DEP has been notified, I don't know if they've been down there, but that's my concern. All I want them to do is to hold up to what they said they were gonna do back in the summer, and they have not done it.
Anybody else?
Yes, I also live on 9 Alexander Drive.
Your name?
So my name is Pedro Neves, and you know, this comes to me as no surprise. I mean, I think it comes to all of us as no surprise. This is a high recycling company, shredder. If any of you go on through some basic research, understands what this company was going to be, okay? This is, if you go on OSHA, you understand what, I mean, they have all guidelines, they have all, people have even died and work in this company. However, I'm not against recycling, I just want to put that on record. I'm actually much favor of recycling. However, this company should not be in the premises of residential areas where people have lived there for years and years. That's just common sense. Now, we all knew from the beginning this was not going to be, you know, pretty. Again, from doing some basic research, anyone would know that this was going to happen. Just some people among the lines, whether closed their eyes, chose not to advocate for the residents because maybe there is some special interests. Okay, so having said that, like Manny said, like Joyce said, like that gentleman said, well, I live right there as well. There is smoke, there is noise, which the department, Mr. Tom Cushion, which is the Department of DPE, I spoke to him before actually the company actually went live, and Joe actually, he heard the conversation. He said it was that we live in an environmental noise, like it's like a library noise, right? There is just calm peace, you hear the birds. That's why I moved there. That's why probably most of us, or all of us, live there in the area. So, that's why people come to live in these areas. You pay high taxes, you know, to have the benefits of living in peace and quiet, and you bring your family, maybe to good schools, to breathe the fresh air, all these great things that people come to these areas, not to be punished. And it is the obligation, in my view, of any politic, anyone that holds a position, is to advocate for the residents, having in mind that, yes, we need businesses. Yes, it's important for the community. All of that is great stuff. However, should not be placed behind our houses. Is this even common sense? I mean, I don't think that this is like just, it's black and white. Now, again, we knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Initially, like Manny said, we actually thought, oh, wow, hey, it's not as bad. Am I that wrong? Well, we had a conversation, right?
No.
No, not bad. Well, of course, they were testing it out. They were, you know, when I was like, wow, it's even running? I hear some noise here and there, but, so, obviously now that's running, not even at full speed, because I think some days they're not running at full speed, but when it's running at full speed, I mean, my house vibrates. Constantly. Again, like Manny said, please come and check it out. Check out the home. Live there. Somebody has to be responsible for this. It's very obvious. Somebody, I mean, just think about this. Even if somebody was they had the plans to build, to give the permit, shouldn't you have a study of the ground? Knowing that that ground is all sand. I'm not an engineer. but I'm not stupid. And I highly doubt it, that the vibration is gonna go away. That's number one. Number two, the smoke. How are you gonna prevent the smoke? I mean, we were having a conversation, and Kevin, I had to, like, you can't even breathe the smell. How can my 11-month-old come outside? My dog has even been coughing. I mean, this is no joke. Somebody has to be accountable for it. Somebody has to be responsible, or they have to fix it. Now, like I said, I'm happy to have these companies come. It's good for the community. Not where it is. There's so much land. Why this is happening behind our properties? Now the question is that this is an effect. There's noise, there's vibration. I mean, the other day I work nights. I actually thank God, I happen to be on call because I'm a nurse. So, sometimes it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I wake up with the noise when it's running at higher speed, you know. And then the other day, I mean, there was just smoke everywhere. And it was not even wind. I mean, it was not even wind. And then the noise, I spoke to the department, Tom Cushion again. He stated as I said earlier, it was going to be a public, just a little, I mean, he talked about decibels, and I'm not an engineer, I don't know all these numbers, but that gentleman mentioned the numbers. There was just going to be like a whisper noise or just above a library noise. You tell me what a library, this is not a library noise when we speak. Library noise is whisper, is just quiet, you know. So my question is, who's going to fix this? How is this going to work out? And somebody has to be responsible and accountable, because sooner or later, somebody has to be accountable for this. So I think that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Brightman, 102 High Street. We hear it up there. It's not as bad as being in their backyard, but we do hear it.
You hear it in your house?
Yes, we do. And so does Sean Peckham, so does Bob Perry.
You guys do too?
Now, we hear it up there. Okay.
Just interrupt you for a second. Just think about, this is placed in an open field.
Yeah, but he lives quite a ways.
I live,
So
I'm on
that's
2
why
High
I'm,
Street.
so that's
I'm
why
on
I'm
top of
asking.
So, yeah, then just go out on the road more, yeah.
Okay, we hear it,
Okay.
okay? Now, these containers, they got piled up. They're empty containers. Well, the sound's just rapping right off of those things. And instead of all the sound going over to these people, it's bouncing up to my area. If they filled them with wood chips or sawdust or something so they're solid, it would probably help some. Now, not this past weekend, the weekend before, I was doing a job in Bob Lehman's yard, tree job. My wife brought me lunch around noontime. She come down. She asked Bob, "What's this stuff in your yard, Bob?" She's picking up stuff. Oh, he says, "That's stuff that's coming from over there." So there's stuff flying around. Bob Lehman's yard, right? Am I correct?
Yep, you're right. I've got it all.
My wife's,
Pieces this big.
you know, so there's stuff flying around, okay? And another thing I heard it today too. This place was, I don't know if it's the same company, but they were in Westport.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
They're still there.
They sold it. They sold it.
Westport, Somerset.
And the people went for a new permit. They were grandfathered in, the original owners there. But when they sold it, it was no longer grandfathered in. Well, the town all got together. We don't want this.
Of course they do.
And that's why they came to us home. I assume, I can't say for sure. So, whoever gave these permits out, I mean, they should have did some more investigating, I think. You know, I mean, put it in their backyard. It's like the problem we had back in 2001. I won't bring it up.
I know,
Who wanted it in their backyard?
I know.
Nobody. But I had it in mind. And we did something about it, so, whatever. That's all I got to say about it.
Donna Brightman, Ed's wife, I'd like to reiterate what he said about, we do hear the noise, windows closed, we hear the noise. Nothing like these people on Alexandra Drive. And after Bob had shown, I had seen those pieces of cellophane and stuff at Bob's house, I remembered I saw a few of those at my house, and I picked them up and I'm like, where the heck did this come from? Didn't click till I saw it at Bob's. We're residents. We shouldn't have to come to the selectmen and complain about all these issues in town. We shouldn't have to do the research. You guys should be doing the research. That's not our responsibility. I've done it twice already. I have not investigated anything or researched anything about this company, but now that I wanted to say my piece about the noise, finding a few, not a lot like Bob, but finding a few scraps around the yard, and just letting you know that you guys gotta do your job and research the stuff before you let them in. Cause now you have a mess on your hands. It's not our responsibility. I've spent plenty of time on other issues trying to educate the boards about what the problems will be. So, and they've gotten stuck. This should have been done before you let them in.
Nobody cares.
We tried.
That's exactly what he gives.
Yeah, nobody cares. Hi, my name is Jose Franco. I live on 7 Alexander Drive. I feel like I got front seat of the of the place. You know, it's like going to the movies and you got the best seat in the house. I got the best seat in the house. I honestly feel that nobody gives a damn, honestly. Because when you look at this and you look at I used to live in Fall River, and I moved to Arizona because I wanted my kids to go to a better school, to a quiet town, to a good, you know, with a good police department and all that. And I got all that. And 13 years later, this is what I got to face. And I'm 53 years old, you know. I was telling my wife the other day, you know, God forbid something happens to me and I can't afford to live in this house anymore. If I need to sell this house, how am I going to do it? There's 3 houses in the block for sale and nobody even looks at them. Nobody looks at them. I honestly feel that, you know, the town let us down. And if any of you folks lived in that neighborhood, that place would not be standing right there. I think we need to look in the mirror and see what we do for the community, honestly. Because I think, you know, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, I work by myself, and I have 3 kids. It's not easy to bring up a family of 5 working by yourself, and leaving early because you need to be here. So I feel betrayed by the town, honestly. You know, this is a good town, I like living here. You know, and I would like to die here. But you know, honestly, my house vibrates every day. Every day that thing is running. And another question is, I don't think it's running at full capacity right now. Imagine in the summertime when it does. What's gonna happen? I just put a pool 3 years ago, in-ground pool for my kids. There's no way that my kids wanna be out there. Honestly, they do not wanna be out there. Again, if one of you people in the board was living in Alexander Drive, would that place be there? Honestly, you guys need to think about this.
The owner of Excel lived there, would that be there?
I'll try to-
Bring it back,
I'll
ask
go
him.
to Peyton Aaron.
Yeah, that's a great question, I'd like to hear from him.
Yeah, I'll go
For
to
what?
Peyton Aaron.
Because he can buy my
That's where I
house.
live.
You can keep it.
And the other thing, we're talking about, you know, the board, you know, why would the building inspector go over my next door neighbor's house and ask and tell him? The building inspector of the zone went to his house and told him, listen, man, don't worry about it, it's not gonna be as bad as you think it's gonna be.
With the owner of Excel.
With the owner of Excel.
All 3 came to my house.
Is this
Why?
improper?
Well, what is it? Is he getting paid that we don't know about? Does he got a part-time job on the side?
There's a lot of.
Honestly, why would the building inspector of Freetown walk into one of our neighbor's house, Manny, don't worry about it, it's not gonna be as bad as you think it
Me
is.
first.
And Manny wasn't home, so he
I
talked to the
was
wife.
alone.
Oh,
It was me.
yeah, correct. So, you know what, like I said, there's 3 houses in the block for sale, nobody looks at them. Nobody wants to. Why would you? If you're gonna spend $400,000, $500,000 in a home, why would you live there? Honestly.
What would you like us to do?
That's
That's an honest question.
Yeah, we
It is,
should've done it in the first place. Now,
They never-
we're gonna
they
put-
never
You
got
should
money.
never, you should
This
never
is
came
not
to
our first
this.
fight.
Listen, I am not against they making money, or I'm not against them. It should never got to this. You know, Freetown is a big town in Atlantic. You couldn't find another place to put them?
Look, I'm not defending Excel,
Okay,
but they are in an industrial zone.
I understand.
Okay.
And their zone
Well,
change.
maybe the town of
that's-
Freetown should not put an industrial and residential side by
That
side.
industrial zone was there far,
But you
long
still let
before
them
your
develop
houses
the
were
houses.
there.
Well,
But yet you gave
All
house
right,
permits.
but that's neither here nor there. What
Where's
would you like us
Fabiana?
to do?
That
You
building
want us
house.
to shut them down?
Yeah.
Yes.
That-
if
that-
you could.
You wanna live there?
Sister
Would you
Sure.
live in our
Shut
house?
'em down.
I want you-
Whether they fixed what they need,
Come
whether
sit in our
the
house.
noise becomes what it
Sit in the
was,
seats.
there's no pollution because it is hazard to the health,
I
okay?
told you,
It's
I
hazard.
invite
They
you
are
back.
polluting
It's an
our
environmental
airspace.
hazard.
They are polluting
We've got-
our
we've got,
airspace.
It's
the
an-
DEP is allowing this.
Let me ask you
Apparently.
this.
I don't think it's allowing because
Okay.
they,
I don't think they
Mr.
know
Tom
what's
Cushion told
happening.
me,
They don't know what's happening there.
that the noise like that gentleman mentioned about, I mean, it's not about the numbers, it's about the noise, right? Because the numbers represents the noise. That where we live, it's an environmental noise, it's a library noise. And that should not be more than twice or something, it's like a whisper noise. Number one, that is, when the company is operating, it's not a whisper noise. Number two, the pollution, Mr. Cushion also told me, they says, Pedro, if you see anything that's, anything less than clear skies, that's pollution. It should not be to the naked eye, okay? And then, well, there was not just, there was, and then the smell, okay? These are all environmental hazards issues. Now, you tell me, and then number third, the vibration, hold on. And then next is a vibration.
Is there anybody here from Excel?
Yes.
Does anybody from Excel wanna respond to these allegations?
Sure, I will.
They're not obligations.
John Costa from Excel Recycling. I
Okay,
understand.
hold on, let him report, please.
Yeah, I'd like to just clarify a few things. So I did, my name is Kevin Bernardo from the Water Health. I've been out there a few times. On the first incident I was out there, I had a complaint on High Street of debris. I'll just show everybody. This is debris I think everybody's talking about. So this debris was making it onto abutters properties. I spoke to the owner of Excel. He knew of the situation. Their plan was to put some tarping and some rubber mats over the conveyor belts. It was discussed at that time, since that was considered a nuisance, they were littering individuals' properties. They were cited, well, they were given an order to correct and a citation, but it was a warning. And the only reason it was a warning is I actually spoke to DEP, and they were working with them with their permit. The second time I went out there, an individual called me about the smoke. I went out there, and then for the record, I did not say that I was choking. We sat there for a while,
But you can taste.
discussing the, overall, the complaints that these individuals have. And at one point, it became heavy and dark. That's when one individual started recording. I then took a photo. One individual,
Yeah, I have the report.
called Mr. Cushing from DEP. I asked for that same number. I wasn't able to speak to Mr. Cushing that day. I spoke to either an assistant or someone that's handling the same thing, John Pano. John Pano explained to me that he's working with Excel. He understands of the complaints. Besides the nuisance with the debris, which we're handling, they're still actively doing emission testing, air quality, and the noise. He described, when it comes to the vibration, and he explained this to me, so you can ask Mr. Cushing and Mr. Pano. He said, when it comes to the vibration, it's difficult to determine at this time who's at fault. Because directly behind Alexander Drive is a company called L&M Civil Construction. They have large equipment, and this individual said, that day he was out there initially doing his testing, he heard jackhammering. So he said, we're gonna do our air quality, we're gonna do our noise assessments, which we have no we can't enforce that anyway, that's environmental. And I guess at that time, they'll look at who's making what noise. So this is what I'm reporting back to my board. I spoke to, and I still stay in contact with these individuals, John Pano, Thomas Cushing. This is the picture that I talked about with the smoke. That day was heavy.
it was dark at that moment, but at no time on the record am I saying that I was choking at all.
When the
Is this
shredder,
not-
when the shredder is on and you can see it, it's the vibration in my house. You can hear the shredder.
No,
You can
it's all right,
feel the house vibrating when the shredder is on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or an engineer to figure this out.
And by the way, I've called the town of Solid. There's records of it, and actually, there's more times that I should have called, but I haven't, I don't call every time that my house is vibrating, but I've called several times already that my property is vibrating. So, and one of the times there's a police officer came, and I welcome in the house, and he should be on record. So, and again, like Manny said, welcome to owner of XL. Come and check it out. Come and check it out.
Come and check it out.
You can live there if you want. Like, I mean, again, I have nothing against it. Be happy to come. I mean, I have solar panels. I'm a total for green, for recycling. Just, let's have some common sense here.
It's not the right
And
place.
whether they fix it, I don't know how they're gonna fix vibration. Again, if it's not there, if it's not from them, then it's great, awesome. I wouldn't, that's what I would like to know. And if it is, then it needs to be fixed. And if it's from somebody else, then they need to take care of it. And then there's the noise, well, that's another thing, and then there's the pollution. So,
What about debris? What about
Oh,
debris?
yeah,
What
that-
we're gonna
Right.
put up with
That's
that?
Can you please
Oh, I'm sorry.
sit down?
That gentleman over there, you asked me, what do you want me to do about it?
I wanna know what you people
I
want us to
understand,
do.
I appreciate that.
Shut 'em
What do you,
down.
first of all, shut them down. They should never been open, honestly, they should never been open. I think it should never been approved, okay? Because they were open in Westport, they didn't have a shredder there. Why? The only, it looks like that the only place they could get an approval for the shredder was in Freetown.
We don't make the approval for the shredder.
Well,
That's a
we didn't.
DEP approval.
Let me ask you this,
I'm not so sure.
as a resident,
DEP approved fly ash being
I'm not so
dumped,
sure.
that was
This was from
wrong.
the town.
so let me ask you this, as a resident, as a resident
Right.
of Freetown for 14 years, you tell me what's my rights? Am I gonna live with that for the rest of my life? Is my kids not gonna go play outside anymore?
Well,
I got a 14-year-old, I got a 16-year-old, and
In a few seconds,
$18-year-old.
I'm gonna ask the board what they wanna do, and see if they're ready to shut them down tonight.
The noise and everything.
But I'd like to hear from XL first.
Can I say one
I
thing
have
for
a
just a second?
Kevin,
Yes.
Say
the
one thing for
other
a second.
company
Wait,
that you
one
said
person
could be
talk.
Yeah,
making the
that-
vibration,
This is according to John Pano and Thomas Cushion. During their site visit, they were already starting with the noise assessment, whatever, I don't even know how they do
Yeah,
their
but I know
testing.
how they
But
test
they were
it.
looking at the noise already, and they're gonna check the, stacks themselves, what kind of emissions. They said, at that day, they heard jackhammering, and they're not even sure where that noise come from. Because they saw large equipment from L&M Civil Construction, I don't know if you guys know. but-
how long has L&M Civil
I
Construction
can't
been
tell you, I'm
They're
not sure.
just renting that, they're
Yeah,
leasing that.
and I guess they're going back and forth, does anybody notice they're going back and forth?
Yeah, I know, we know, listen, but.
So I'm just reporting back what they said, and obviously there's noise coming from Excel, but they have to come up with a determination.
They've been in
On-
there.
When they do their noise test, I believe, when they do their noise test,
There's two different noises, right?
Every time the shredder runs, the house vibrates. If the shredder doesn't run, the house don't vibrate. You don't have to be an engineer to figure this one
Mr.
out.
Branco,
They
I'm
have
gonna
to
let
come with the
I'm gonna let the lady in back speak, and
Yes,
then I'm gonna let XL speak.
My name is Leah Ady, I'm at 7 Friend Street in
Hold, excuse me. Please, you guys in back, we have a meeting going on, okay? Go ahead, ma'am. Your name again?
Yeah, Leah 87 Friend Street. I just want to point out that this was built as a junkyard, remember? That's what it was approved as. Had this gone through the special permitting process, which it should have, all of this would have been talked about before this facility was built. So if you want to know what you can do, you can put it through the special permitting process and figure out how to enclose this thing or whatever. And if it doesn't pass, and they get shut down. And
Listen,
nobody wants business out of town, and everyone supports recycling, but call it what it is.
listen, so you'll know, the town of Freetown had two definitions. One was a scrap yard,
Right.
okay?
Right.
And we went to our attorneys. When I say we, the town went to the attorneys, and we had, they said to us, your bylaw is not specific enough. That's why at the last special town meeting, I think it was the last special town meeting, or the annual town, it might have been at the annual town meeting, we implemented changes in our zoning
Would I-
to require a different
So the
avenue to
question is,
follow.
if there was confusion, if it wasn't clear, why can't you then go to something like Mass General Law, which is very clear as to what a commercial recycling facility is, and this thing fits the
OSHA.
definition.
To the zoning
So
board.
why couldn't you do that, make
We
that
did.
leap?
We went to the
But if you
zoning,
made that leap, I don't understand how then it was permitted as just a scrapyard.
we didn't, then it
It
went
was
to
the
the zoning,
zoning- the
went to the
zoning
zoning
board
board
of
of
appeals,
appeals, and then
right.
they had that big
Right.
public hearing, which I think there was 2 meetings, and the zoning board also said that it
It
fell
was-
within, right,
Th-
that
is
it
that
didn't
the
need
zoning
a
board where there was that
special
meeting?
permit.
Oh, yeah.
Zoning
Okay, so
board
let me
review.
just point out that they, even themselves, that there was 3 gentlemen there on the board. One of them, it was mute, okay, one of them was mute, okay, I don't know what he was doing there. The other 2, they were very concerned and they voted against because they could not come with a determination. They didn't know if there was a recycle or was a scrap or what, you know. And you, I mean, do you look at that facility as a junkyard, as a scrap, as like a scrap? I mean,
It's a
think about-
scrapyard.
That's
what it is.
You think that's just a scrap
It's
yard?
not.
No,
It's a
The
recycling
thing is-
facility.
it's a scrapyard, they're actually recycling this, the equipment.
Can we, who else wants to speak before we go to
Big-
Excel?
it's-
You already had your turn.
I know, but I know one more thing to say. I don't care
Go
what your
ahead.
face. I was sitting in my kitchen trying to write out my bills. My bar stool was vibrating. I could feel it all the way down to my feet. That's normal vibration? No,
No.
no.
Scrapyard.
That's what I'm saying. It is
Scrapyard
not.
vibration,
But it's not a
any
half
of
an
that.
hour.
What it
It's
comes
all
down to
day.
is air
It's not a
pollution.
half an hour.
Just like with the fly ash, everybody said it was nice and clean. What did my wife and the other 2 girls find out?
I understand, and
Well,
you know what happened with the
Did
fly
anybody
ash?
check
The
about the air
The
quality?
only way the fly ash was resolved was when the town actually passed the bylaw that prevented fly ash from being dumped in Freetown.
Why?
You know,
Why? What was in it?
I don't know what was
Oh,
in it. I
oh.
wasn't on the board then.
That's this
I'm
one
just
right
telling
here.
you what happened. And because the board at the time took action to close it, to stop it before we had a bylaw, it cost us $2 million.
That's because of
We
your
just-
lawyers and everything
we
else
just
in
got-
this town. And
I'm not gonna, Eddie, I'm not
the
gonna argue, I'm
selectmen,
just telling you what
actually-
the facts are.
I think we
Anybody
should
from
vote for
Excel wanna
somebody new.
talk before we, so we gotta get on to.
air
I
quality.
do wanna say.
I wanna, you wanna say, go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you. Bob Lima, 41 High Street.
Okay.
Been living up there for 30 years now. Beautiful place to live. The noise is incredible. It sounds like there's an excavating company right across the street from me when that thing's running. It's like, there's always been businesses down there. I never had a problem with any of these
Never
businesses.
heard 'em.
I can't believe what you guys must be going through. 'Cause
Unbelievable.
I'm in the High Street and it's unbelievable. There's debris all over the yard, and if this is big particulates like this,
That's
what
unacceptable.
else is
What about the
airborne
small
in
ones?
the
Debris is
air, you know?
unacceptable.
What else is there that we
Absolutely,
can't
it
see?
is unacceptable, the noise in the.
Excel, you
The
have
noise
anything to say?
is unbelievable.
That's what they say.
Yeah, none to say but.
How are you gonna address,
Thanks very much. I'm gonna let Mr. Costa, Jonathan will answer some specific questions, but I just wanted to talk broadly that you're correct.
we need your
Sure,
name.
certainly.
Yeah,
That's John
yeah.
Markey, who's the attorney for Excel Recycling. As the member of the Board of Health mentioned, as several others have mentioned, this was a long process with DEP. This is a new machine that is a complicated machine that has been up and running for a relatively short period of time. There are a number of things that have already created a problem and been fixed. There are other things that you have concerns about that have not yet been fully fixed. There is work with the DEP on a regular basis. There is a 90-day review period where DEP is working with my clients, working with the manufacturer of the machine. DEP has been out to the site a number of times already. When it's been run at different times and at different paces, has made comments, issues have been addressed. Some of them because of complaints, like your Board of Health person being out there, drawing attention to it, doing their job to advocate for the people here. And I know you're trying, as a board, to balance the idea that this is an industrial area which happens to be next to residences, and I appreciate the difficult position they put you in. Jonathan Costa can talk more about the particular things that he's been working on with the DEP, but I think we're at a stage where these folks have made a substantial investment and tried to go through all the processes with the town and with the state, and tried to reach out to the neighbors. They have a call line that has come in, they've gotten a couple of calls on that, and they've tried to be responsive to that. They also know, that obviously, these are real concerns, and they want to try to address them. They can't address all of them. This was a vacant lot. It's not a vacant lot anymore. So, in a sense, the entire industrial area, the construction work that's going on to build a new facility there is going to increase traffic. The Republic facility is going to increase traffic. The neighborhood is going to be different. I agree with the board members that material going outside, off the property line, this is not something they accept or would stand for.
And the smoke.
I understand. All of those issues are
And the
issues,
vibration.
all of the issues are issues which are part of the DEP permit, which are being worked upon on a regular basis. Every day and every week, they are communicating with the manufacturer and with DEP about the expectations and trying to move forward. Jonathan can talk in more detail, but again, when you put in a new facility and you have a complicated piece of equipment, it takes time to get it to where baseline will be. Baseline is not gonna be ideal if you live next door to it. That wasn't promised when we built something in industrial areas. But it's going to be better than it has been, because they're still working on trying to get things done. If Jonathan wants to speak to specific questions, he can talk about some of his meetings with the DEP, but I think, again, these are still conversations in progress. The 90-day period from the time that it was up and running hasn't yet been completed to get all the DEP comments. I do encourage the people through the Board of Health or through themselves to talk to Mr. Cushing, to talk to Mr. Pano, because those are the people that are, in essence, are monitoring all of the operation and need to have all the data from all points of view. But I think from now, it would be, it's difficult to say when you have something this complicated that somehow you're gonna promise to solve every problem, that tomorrow it's gonna be different than it was today. It's going to be better tomorrow, but it's a day-by-day process. That's the best that I can answer now, with being honest and not over-promising, but I'm happy to let Jonathan speak in more detail about the technical aspects if you wanna go there. But I think, again, it's an issue which I encourage everybody to talk to the DEP, because that's the regulating agency that looks at issues like smoke, looks at issues like noise, looks at issues like particulates that might be released. And to the extent, again, that anything was off premises, that is completely unacceptable, they understand that, and that is begun to be addressed and will continue to be addressed. But Jonathan, you want to speak?
Just one comment, Jonathan. I think Eddie Brightman made a big point when he's talked about those containers being empty.
Yep.
I understand.
Those things are acting
Like drums.
like drums.
Right.
I understand that I'm enemy number one here, and at the end of the day, I think, we're making a conscious effort at this point to try to address the concerns. We set up a hotline. I've only received one call that was anonymous. No one else has called. If there were any issues, we were trying to address those issues before. As far as the DEP and a couple of the issues, what you see coming out of the mill is steam, first and foremost. So Clark is steam. It's a reaction from the water, and the water that's injected into the mill and the heat that's created creates steam. So what you see is steam. You don't have to take my word for it. You guys can verify.
You have black
What's the
steam?
taste?
Black
What's the
steam?
taste in the air?
The steam is black?
What's the taste in the air? Rust.
That goes into
And it
the-
smells?
I
The
mean,
smell
I'm up there every day.
I'm
but-
sorry,
And
the
that's
smell
steam.
is not steam.
I-
The vibration is not steam.
The taste
The
is
taste
nice.
in the air, you can see you can see the air is not the same.
It's okay. I don't,
Totally.
guys, I don't wanna argue.
You're saying it's
I
steam for the
appreciate all.
record. Are you sure, 100% sure that's steam?
It's steam coming out.
Are you 100% sure that's steam?
And that's
So you're telling me
coming through with
that,
the
you're
steam.
telling us that black smoke, that's on record right there, okay? That there's such thing as black steam.
Well, the black smoke could have
And
been
it
from
smells.
exhaust from some of the machines that are in the area, but from coming from the mill, it's steam, so. And as far as, just to clarify, the DEP has been out to the site, and part of the permit is to have post-operative testing for the sound, which is still going to happen. But because of the complaints that came in, they decided that they were gonna do the testing right away. So, unbeknownst to you guys, they've already done the testing, and, at this point, it was spoken with Tom Cushing. I believe that he was at somebody's house on High Street,
and I'm not sure what number. But they did they took the ambient sound, and they also took when the operation was running, and at the end of the day, the feedback that we got from them was right now that we were not out of compliance.
So let me just say, you can go there 1,000 times, and anybody can go there 1,000 times, and your machinery could be running as smooth or quiet, and of course it's
All right,
not
wait a
compliant.
second now. What, that's it. You was talking, no more outbursts, just no more.
Mr. Chairman, just,
Charles.
John, I want you to come to my house and stand in my yard and tell me that's a 10%, that's 10 decibels. All right, John, that's something that comes out of a cow.
Well, guys,
or
I
actually
just
comes
felt,
out of a
I
toilet.
don't,
And
excuse me, if I may.
I'm sorry.
Marty Costa, I own Excel Recycling. Mr. Sullivan.
All right, stop.
Excuse me,
What?
let me
Charles.
speak. Let me speak. Did I not have the floor? Did I not have the floor? Did I not have the floor?
Yes, you have the floor.
All right. My things is this, we met and you said you were going to do things, you were gonna promise things. There's no sound barrier on the east side. A 1x fence, you and I will agree, does not suffice. It does not suffice. When we're talking about sound barriers, we're talking about things that are like concrete walls. Okay? Now, so you're telling stories there. As to the litter, if you say you rectify the litter, well, yeah, you rectified the litter because there's snow on the litter now. The place along the railroad track is a mess. Okay? And there's debris flowing to my yard, which is 800 feet away. So please don't tell me that you're doing things right, and if DEP wants to come and make a sound reading at my property, I know that it's not going to be 10 decibels at the property. Okay? That's
So just not to be confrontational, and I certainly appreciate your concern, but we have the hotline. We've gotten one anonymous call on the hotline. We had one day where the wind was blowing, and yes, we were adjusting the machine, and paper flew through the air. And we understand that. Nobody called me to say that there was an issue with that. We realized it.
Hey, stop. He's talking.
So the hotline was, the hotline is in place. It's available to every neighbor there. We've submitted that to the town hall, that there is a hotline in place. However, moving on, as far as the complaint about sound, the DEP came out there specifically to look at the sound. They did a new ambient. They made us shut the process down. We shut the process down for the period of time that they wanted it shut down. They did their ambient sound, and then I don't want to say the address, but far closer than Mr. Sullivan's property, they had another individual out there taking a sound reading as we started up. And after the testing was complete, the day after, they called us and said, you are not out of compliance. So those are our regulatory responsibilities. We, for all we know, as far as the DEP is concerned, we are in compliance. Okay? Now, that does not mean that I'm not compassionate to your issues. That does not mean that at all. All that means is that we were in compliance with our permit from the state. Now, the hotline is in place for you folks to call. We're open. That gate is open up there. Any one of you folks are welcome to come up there. It's not the first time I've said that. Some of the select board has been up there since the place is run. Kevin, I know you've been up there. Now, what the DEP also realized while they were up there doing the sound testing was they had a D8 bulldozer running back and forth close to the Alexandria properties. That bulldozer vibrates my property. But I'm not gonna, what happened, the DEP looked at me and said, we don't know where the noise is coming from. We don't know where the vibration's coming from. But all of that going on next door, we would really have to do some studying and quantify it. So, again, all that being said, I will state this to everyone in this room who has debris in their yard. If you call me, I will happily send people to clean. No, I will
We
happily.
don't want that, we don't
Well,
want.
whatever
No, no,
was
no,
done
no,
in the
no,
past,
whatever.
and just to explain to you guys, just that, at the end of the day,
If my trash goes into the neighbor's yard, I go pick it up too.
yeah.
But you don't want my
That's not the
trash every
problem.
day
That's
going
not,
in
that's a
there.
big, that's just a
Hey,
little
listen,
minute.
could
So-
you please
so we've-
finish talking?
We've made
I'm sorry.
adjustments to our process to control that, so that that doesn't happen in such a way that it happened this first time. You have to understand that we are commissioning the equipment, as Attorney Markey said. And while we're fine tuning everything, we have to run it. We can't run it, we can't fine tune it without running it. It's just the way it is. And if it's not tuned in just right, certain things happen. That paper blowing up into the air, that happened on a day that was exceptionally windy. And I apologize to all of you for that, and I certainly don't deny that that happened. And again, we would support any effort to help clean that up if it's an inconvenience to anybody. I can say that to you, to everybody here.
Can I say one thing?
I have a
to you
question.
without being rude?
Absolutely, yes.
You said that DPA was down there and they tested the sound, right? Were they there, how long? Could you tell me, you know?
Yeah,
more or
They were
less?
there roughly for about 3 or 4 hours, from what I can understand. They were there before we knew they were there, and they were there unannounced.
Right,
Yeah.
unannounced. Were your machines actually running to capacity?
Well, like I said, they
When
were
they
there long
tested-
before we knew they were
I'm
there.
just asking honestly.
They were already taking their
Yeah.
metering sound before we knew that they were
Right,
even
but
anywhere, so.
You know and I know
Mhm.
that if there's a problem, you're gonna tell your guys, keep it down.
They were
Keep it down.
unannounced.
And like I said, last Thursday and Friday, like I said, when you guys first started, I wasn't even thinking that you were breaking in your machines. And I said to the neighbors, it's not as bad as I thought. And I worked in the junkyard, so I noticed stuff. But then all of a sudden, Thursday, I came home from the job I was doing a little pumping, put it out in my van, I could taste rust in the air. And that machine was at full capacity. I don't know if you were crushing steel beams instead of cars, but the place was banging like no tomorrow. So, there's no way impossible, I've been in construction my whole life, there's no way impossible that the DPA accepted that sound to a certain extent. Like, if you only did it for a half an hour, no big deal, I mean, crap happens.
It's a no-day process.
But it's a no-day process. That's why, I mean, I don't wanna be rude to you.
No,
it's
no, and you're
okay.
not rude at
I
all. and
appreciate
and
everybody-
I appreciate the
I mean,
communication, to be quite honest with all of you. Okay.
I mean, I understand that you're just starting your business and you gotta fine tune, I understand that. Okay, but I'm a firm believer, again, I'm not an engineer, I'm a firm believer that the shaking is not going away. Don't tell me that, don't tell me it's going away, because it's not. Because, again, you said you got somebody else next to you running their business. Every time your shredder runs, my house shakes. Every time. They stop shredding, my house doesn't shake anymore. That's it. And the pollution, is that going away? I was in my backyard the other day talking to Calvin over here, Manny and Peter. We were smelling. The smell is in the air, the smell is not the same. Is that going away? Or are you guys gonna blow smoke? I mean, what is it? Is it steam? It's not steam. Don't tell me it's, please. I'm not stupid. I'm not a stupid man.
Okay.
Don't tell me. It's, steam is steam. We know what steam is.
Well, I'm certainly not gonna argue with you.
I'm not arguing with you,
whether
but
you think it's steam or not. But what I will say is, it is steam.
it is steam.
You-
So the
you-
smell
You
is.
can research what comes out of the shredder. And as far as what comes out in that steam, we're in compliance.
Well,
We
the
are
air
in
doesn't
compliance.
feel the same. I'm sorry to tell you. Maybe it is steam, but the air is not the same.
Mr. Branco, I hear you.
I mean, you want me to come over my house?
No, I stand near this thing all day, every day.
So do we. We live there. Also, just one second, just, then we'll be
Okay.
short.
I
So
do
you,
too, and I walk the tracks, and he knows it. And, you know, on Sundays I take his school, and I'm a nosy guy, you know what I mean? And when I walk up to your facility,
We are the
when it's
victims.
operating,
We are the
it
victims.
doesn't sound as loud as it does in my house. And I'm telling you, I can hear you talk. Those guys were on the roof, smack up. I can hear every word they say. So never mind banging bells, if I can hear them talk. You know, so bring that sound up in the
As I
air.
said, the sound testing done by the showed that we were not out of compliance. However, it's not gonna be, I mean, this is not gonna be,
Quiet operation.
there's activity there.
Yeah.
There are backup alarms that are happening. You know, I mean, is it excessive? Well, by whose measure is it excessive? So the DEP puts the regulation in place that says if you're gonna be this close to a neighborhood, this is what it's gonna be. We are within those limits. Now, you know, again, I have a lot of compassion for you as a homeowner. The unfortunate reality is that your home's abut a heavy industrial zone. I did not make the zoning. I did not make the zoning. The zoning was there. And for the record, Westport was never a consideration for this piece of equipment. Freetown is perfect. It's surrounded by 2 highways. Its proximity to Boston is great. It all works.
Railroad is right there.
Railroad is right there. So just for the record, for those of you.
No, I understand that totally, but what's the matter with the other side of Cooper Cup Road? Where there's no homes and nobody
But
decided to get a property.
you have to understand our position. When we went to the town, when we went to the town and said, this is what we would like to do, they said, this is an accepted use and the zoning is correct, here we are. Believe me, I did not want to go up there
So they made a mistake.
Now, I don't know, I'm not blaming anybody for any mistakes. What I think is the zoning was correct for what we wanted to do, okay? We went through the proper protocol, we approached the town said, yeah, okay, that's an accepted use in that zoning, and here we are. Again, the last thing that we wanted was an adverse relationship in a lynch mob in the neighborhood. We did not want
So let
that.
me ask you this, sir.
Yes.
I put my house on the market next spring for sale and I don't sell it for 2 years. How are you gonna help me?
How can I help
I
you?
don't know.
Let me ask you,
Well, you're filling your pockets with money. I'm taking money out of my
I'm filling
pocket.
my pockets with money.
Yeah.
I
You
spent
tell
a
me what
lot.
money you're gonna do.
Okay.
I just have one statement. I just have
You did not.
No,
You're
just to
making money,
prove a
I'm not
point.
making
No.
money.
This is to prove a point about this theme.
there's a man in behind that's had his hand up. He's gonna be the last one to talk.
No, go ahead.
And then we're gonna turn it over to the Board of Selectmen and let the board ask some questions.
Michael Gothy of 45 High Street. If you're meeting the specifications of DEP with the sound, I'm amazed, because I hear the sound in my house, like a freight train, all day long. And the windows are closed, it's winter time. What's going to happen in summertime, number one? Number two, last meeting I attended with you guys, you said that this operation was enclosed. I had the sense, I'm naive, I guess, that the whole operation would be in the structure. It's not enclosed at all. It's in the open air, so sound barriers. So something has to be done about the sound. I get the debris too. I have the same complaints as the other neighbors. And I don't think DEP measured accurately, because like, as I said, that sound is constant and impressive. You can hear it in the house, that's what you said.
Can I ask you something?
No, you can't, ma'am. I'm gonna
He said
turn it.
yes.
No, you can't.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn it over to the board members to see if they want to ask any questions. Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I have a question.
Will you please?
The DEP was out, and that was an unannounced visit, is that correct? You had a final approval, a second final approval from DEP on December 1st, is that not correct? What was the modifications made by DEP from the first final approval to the second final approval?
The stack that you see on top of the enclosure, that was a modification. The switching of the sound barrier to the containers, that was a modification for better mitigation.
The decibel levels changed?
The decibel levels will never change. The decibel level baseline is set by what exists in the neighborhood. If you're in downtown Boston, the decibel level that you need to be in compliance with is 10 dB over whatever the ambient is. So that never changes. The statute is the statute, and as the neighborhood, if there's more activity, if the neighborhood gets louder, regardless, if we shut down and the neighborhood gets louder, then the threshold will just become higher. So we didn't make that, that's just the way it is, that's the standard everywhere. So it's 10 dB over whatever the ambient sound is everywhere. And if the threshold was something really, really high, then, meaning the ambient, then it's 10 dB above that. If it's really low, then it's a tough standard to hit. That's
The sound barrier, the issue I have kind of is the sound barrier. The northern sound barrier, you have what, double row containers sealed between the two, 20 feet high, is that what it's supposed to be now?
Right.
But yet, with the topography, if you look at the topography, the High Street people are higher than you. You only have a 15-foot wooden sound barrier that's a foot thick. The chances of that retaining the sound from traveling up the hill to the houses that are situated, Bob Lima's above them, Eddie's above them, Charlie's above them. That isn't going to mitigate that. And you know.
And when we just so you know, when we engineered it, we obviously engineered the wood. But then there's the 90 days. There's a post-operative sound test. And if the engineering is not right or something's not acting the way they thought the models would act, because it's all based on the modeling, then at that point we'll fix it. You know, I mean, we'll fix it. I mean, if that sound barrier, if that particular sound barrier is not doing what the modeling says it was going to do, then we'll fix it. We have to.
This is unannounced sound recordings. Was that taken also from High Street, or was that one specific location on-site or off-site?
Well, apparently, from what I can understand, they were on High Street before they even came to our place, and they were taking readings there as we were operating. And then basically they asked us, there were two guys, they asked us to shut down the operation. One guy was at the operation to make sure that we were completely shut down and nothing was running. And they get a baseline as an ambient sound. And then we start the operation back up, and then that's what the difference is. I mean, that's what the testing that they did.
Was you operating before you had water to the site?
Yes, we got portable water at the site right now. Yeah, in a United Olympics tank.
Is it adequate for what you need for supply? Because
More than
the
adequate.
water main wasn't in. Is it even in now? Is the water main?
The water main is in, yeah.
Are you using the main?
It's not connected yet. So we're still on portable water for commissioning purposes, but it's more than adequate. We have more than adequate water. It's a tank with a pump on it.
And just, you know, I've heard a lot of things about who's done what and why and the town's responsibilities. In 2007, the town rechanged the zoning. It went through a 2-year review process from 2005 through 2007. It was voted on by town meeting at a 2/3 vote. So it wasn't this board that decided to put zoning into effect. It wasn't this board, I'm not saying myself because I wasn't on the board then, I'm talking the Board of Selectmen, that made industrial areas here and general areas there and residential areas. That was all done by a committee. They approached the town at a full town meeting and was voted at a full town meeting. What you're referring to is the town shut down in 2001. The fly ash was with a nuisance tree, easy for you to say, which was found not to be legal. It was opened the town up to liability. We were sued, as we all know, $5 million lawsuit. The person that sued was willing to knock it down to $2.5 million, which we just made our last payment on last year. Nuisance tree in this, because it's on DEP, DEP has the right to shut down from nuisance tree, not the town. Because that was already zoned in an industrial area and they went into an existing industrial area, the town couldn't stop that power. What we can do though is, the board can discuss it, is I think we should make a complaint to DEP and let DEP have follow-ups and have a little more testing. Now, the day they came out to you, was that a heavy run day or was that a light run day? Obviously, you didn't even know they were coming, so it's not like you could idle down, or you necessarily weren't running full bore either.
Bob, there were no speeds, so it's on.
But it's feed. So the faster you feed, the more material you're feeding and pushing the shredder?
For the way the machine is designed, that it's designed to run with a full feed.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have a full feed, you just continually keep feeding it.
Right.
And
but different materials grind different. Right. I mean, if you're grinding hardened steel versus you're grinding soft scrap metal, I mean sheet metal, it might be a little bit different.
So basically, what goes through the machine is what we call light iron. Okay, an automobile could be considered light items, but most of it is sheet metal, a lot of fluff inside of it. Cast, easy, breaks real easy.
Right.
I-beam, rebar, stuff of that nature, absolutely not, cannot go through that. So it's like tin that goes through it. And again, I mean, it's designed to run efficiently when full, when the charge box is full. And that's, if we're running, that's what we're doing. So it doesn't go faster or slower, we can't back off. The type of material, I mean, you know, the difference between materials that run through there is so insignificant that, you know, it's not, it has no impact on its environment. It all runs through the same thing. If that doesn't make it clear,
No, I understand what you're saying, yeah, but.
So on the DEP visit that day, we didn't know they were coming, and we were running. We were running it. We were making our adjustments. We were adjusting for things flying around with added chutes and all sorts of stuff out there to help alleviate that. Because of where the machine is and how it's positioned on the lot, you know, when we engineered, we didn't realize that we get that constant southwest wind that comes across all the time. So what we've done is we've built some chutes, and we've modified the areas that we visually saw deficient, if you will, lack of a better word, okay? So we've built chutes and we've built canopies and we've built covers to help alleviate that. We're monitoring that right now as we speak. So when we do run the machine, you know, we're looking at it pretty carefully. Kevin, I know, I'm sorry that you hurt yourself. I know I actually called you Friday and I called you this morning to come out and take a look at it. Unfortunately, we were not able to hook up, but modifications have been made and you're welcome to come out and observe.
I was planning on doing a follow-up anyways to see.
Yeah, that's fine.
If things were in place to mitigate that debris that was making it over.
So as far as the sound, as the sound testing was concerned, DEP comes out with 2 people. One is in our yard, one is in the neighbor's backyard. It was in response to a complaint that went in directly to the DEP. They responded to the complaint. We had no idea they were coming. They showed up and they said, well, what we're going to do is we want to shut this place down and we want to do an ambient baseline. And they shut us down for a few hours, kept their ambient baseline, and then they said, okay, we're going to start it up. And we started it up, and we ran it. And after, I don't know, whatever the time period was, I mean, they were there for about 4 hours total. They came back and said, your sound is not out of compliance. Can't be up to X, and you are under the 10 dB cell's backyard.
No way.
No way.
Right, they're
So-
right, yeah, it's not bad.
So, that's where we are in the whole process. Are we running at full steam, full, we are running it. We're running it as closely to a production environment as we can. However, we are still making adjustments. We still have the engineering group from the manufacturer out there, making sure belts are tracking properly, making sure that, you know, everything's working properly. Everything's controlled by a computer in that thing, and there's a ton of adjustments that are being made as we speak.
If there's no problem with the running operation and the sound level, why have local realtors told me my property is depreciated?
I wish I could have answered the question.
I can.
I can't, like,
Doesn't take a genius.
I like,
I got a question for you.
Yes.
You're saying that thing is running, you fill the hopper.
yep.
How come I live a mile away from that place up the road? I stand in my backyard and I hear, then it slows down. So as it's chewing something or doing something down there, that's what I hear. And I live a mile away. I can just imagine what these people are going through.
The noise level is never the same.
Exactly.
I mean, even if the EPA says it's okay, but it's never the same. So, I mean, it is what it is. Some days we can accept it, some days, you know, we don't. Again, it's bad. it's bad enough that my house vibrates all day long. We're not talking about a half-hour vibration, we're talking the whole day,
Summertime.
every day. And he just started, he's not running 100%. So imagine when it does run 100%.
It depends when they come. If they come and the machinery is not running, yeah, and
You gotta stay on top of it. You gotta
this
keep calling it.
is my last, this
There's
is
a
my.
gentleman back there with his hand.
Steep trip, 4 Alexander Drive. I got
What change, sir? Hold on.
Steep trip, 4 Alexander Drive. Let me ask you this about that road going into the industrial park, okay? There's only one road in there, right? Have you ever been out there?
Yeah, of course, I was out there last week.
There's only one road going in, right? You're gonna put the marijuana facility up there. You're gonna put the recycle center up there. Tractor trailer truck tips over coming off that exit ramp and starts the woods on fire. How are you gonna get these people out of there? Anybody even thought of that? There's no way out.
For plane crashes, how are we gonna get people out also?
Steve, what do you mean?
Seriously.
I'm confused.
No egress.
The road going in through the whole industrial park,
Yeah.
what you call an industrial park.
Ridge Hill Road.
Ridge Hill Road.
Okay. If those woods catch on fire right there where that exit ramp is, right?
Yeah.
Between them,
It's like 100 feet wide. Yeah.
okay? How are you gonna get those people out of there?
What people?
All these facilities you're putting up there.
Well, a small brush fire there isn't gonna burn down facilities. And their facility's not even the closest. Fazzaro's facility would be the closest.
Exactly, but
But
once one thing starts, it's just gonna continue.
That hasn't changed though with
No,
Excel.
but I mean, isn't it supposed to be an in-way and an out-way? Or isn't it supposed to be a double barrel road or something?
Well, planning boards changed the ingress and outgress, but that, as you know, you've been there all your life.
Didn't amount
Ridge
to-
Hill Road's been there for as long as I can remember.
Exactly, but the only thing
And we
is
had
Fazzaro's buildings. So no
A
one
sand
really
and
wanted
gravel back there, which ran constantly with their grinder back there, and when Republic just paid to widen the road, they took a, taking there to make the road wider and make the intersection better, because the intersection was lousy to begin with.
But the amount of people you had up there before was minor, you know, there was only a few people. Now you're gonna put all these facilities up there, and don't you think they should have an exit?
I don't know
I
where,
would think
that's
it-
not really purview of this board, but I don't know where they would even put one, except for Alexandria, which we don't want that,
You're
so
not gonna do that.
that'd be even worse.
So
Why? You
you're
buy
just,
all their houses out.
you're just putting.
If it's buying, I'm all for it, and no one else will.
You just keep adding
It's
more
like
stuff up
that.
there and everything, it's just adding more fuel to the fire, because there's no way out.
But it's zoned already, so if we wanna go to zoning, town meeting, which we can, and say we no longer want that zone industrial, we want it zone residential, then that's something we can do as a town, and have the votes and pass the votes. It's not something this board can do, you know better than that, it's
They'd
not
be
something this board can
grandfathered, I'm
do.
just telling you
They'd
that.
be grandfathered.
You just keep
They'd be
adding.
grandfathered anyhow, obviously, anything that's there that's already permitted is grandfathered. It's anything coming new that wouldn't be grandfathered, and we can make them all house lots if you want, but that's open space, but that's not purview of this board, that's purview of the
I'm just
town.
trying to tell you, did you keep adding to that thing, you just keep adding more people and more trucks and everything else, I mean, you know if it catches on fire, how are you ever gonna put it out?
Brush fire there?
Yeah.
Built-in fire.
Well, building fire, I
It's
think.
gonna go
Wait,
right
house
into-
fire.
There's no
As more
access.
facilities
And
come in,
yeah,
as more facilities come in, there would be more traffic there. For out, I mean,
It's an industrial, it goes to an industrial park, it's gonna be, and Republic has already been permitted 2 years ago by special permit to put a facility there, and that was
these are all
public hearing.
issues that need to be resolved. It's nothing to do with this, obviously, this meeting.
Nothing.
It's even in addition to that, but
Nothing. And
the
that was-
traffic and so on and so
That was
forth.
all done through public hearing, they did traffic studies and everything else for Republic when Republic permitted 2 years ago. That's why we upgraded the road, Republic paid to upgrade the road.
Excel just
Traffic
paid
is
to
my
This is
put
nothing
a
to do with
water
Excel.
line in for hydrants up
Traffic
there.
is
That's
my
for their
least
benefit, come on.
worries.
That's
It's
for
for
their benefit.
everybody, no, they don't have to, don't say it's just for their benefit.
How is it
And
not for their benefit, sir?
It's for the town benefit, because they don't have to put hydrants in, they put hydrants in.
Didn't they need the water?
But you got hydrants now that will protect the other buildings up there.
The future buildings that come in,
That's right.
they will be their benefit.
Does somebody else have their hand up?
Are there any residents here that were on the petition? That petition that was filed?
That's a good question, I'd like to know myself.
And that-
Because there was the settlement, what happened with the settlement with Excel? Because there was an appeal filed.
It was settled.
It was settled.
And that's what-
So
that's what
the
I was
appeal
just-
was dropped then?
The appeal was dropped because of the
Because of the
settlement for the
settlement.
fine, that was the final, that I was referring to, the December 1st final
Okay,
approval
all
through
right.
DEP. Because the
Right.
settlement was between Excel, those neighbors,
Right.
and DEP.
Just
So what
curious.
was-
That's a good question. Is there anybody here that was on that settlement?
That's a good question. Why are they not here?
Where are they?
What happened
What
between that
was the
settlement?
settlement? Exactly.
It's public
I
record.
actually didn't see money on it, I read.
I don't know what the money settlement was, it's not, it doesn't say, but it's a
Oh,
public
there's,
record.
there's mem settlement?
Huh?
And then,
I don't know if it's
yeah,
a money
I don't
settlement,
know
I have
either.
no
I'm
idea,
just
it's a
saying,
public
just
record.
curious. That's
Let
why
me,
they're not here.
let me ask you this, does the board think the noise is, it's standard, you don't think it's
Look,
overwhelming, the
I
noise
had
and
it,
the
I
vibration?
went up there last week,
Yeah.
only because they were cutting the road for a water line. We went up there to see where the water line was, myself and another gentleman. And we had, the gates were open, I drove in, they were running, okay? And I was watching what they were doing, I actually talked to John, I said, Jesus, you're already operating? He said, we're in the test phase. Okay. So, when we left there, I drove my car around to the other side of the barriers. I was surprised, I couldn't hear them on the other side of the barriers, and they were running, all right? They were, you may not wanna believe me, don't believe me, it's your prerogative. They were hauling sand out of there with a gigantic front end loader filling 10-wheelers. I actually,
Property is that?
huh? Well, I actually called our planning board chairman to say, hey, can they be pulling dirt out of there? And apparently that was some dirt that had been brought in when that other company was working.
Railroad.
Okay, all right. Then I took and I went up Copacut Road with my windows open.
Copacut or High Street?
I went up Copacut first to the
Okay.
top,
Yeah.
and then I came down High Street. And we had a southwest wind, and that's the prevailing wind, guys, all summer long, southwest. So we had a southwest wind, it was blowing pretty good, and I saw the stack, and I saw white coming out of the stack. All the way up High Street, I didn't hear any noise. I started coming.
Are you saying that we all, you're just saying these things?
Listen, do you wanna listen to me or not?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, sir.
All right? I'm telling you what I heard.
Sure.
I didn't hear anything on Copacut Road. When I came down High Street, when I got to Charlie Sullivan's house, I stopped and I could hear boom, boom, boom. Charlie didn't see me, but Charlie had his headset on because he's driving his tractor, pulling wood. Then I went further down, and I could still hear it, down in front of the, just before the railroad tracks. And then when I came alongside your road, all right, I could barely hear it at your road. Now, that was one day, and that was a matter of 30 minutes.
How many times have you been up there?
I've only been there that one day to circle around since they've opened, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm hearing what you're saying. I hear what Charlie's saying. I don't think that your barrier, myself personally, is good enough to block the noise for where Charlie lives. Because they are much higher. They're way up there. So I think you gotta do something about that to mitigate that issue.
You know what's
But
funny?
I never felt any vibration, but I was in a car.
You know what's
Okay.
funny?
They
I
said,
go
hey,
to
you're
Bill's-
right, you over
excuse
my
me for a
office.
minute. I go to Bill's truck repair, have my truck worked on and whatever. And I talk to his guys in there and I says, hey, this place must drive you nuts over here. He says, we can't even hear it. And when I was in there, they were running. You couldn't, no vibration, you couldn't even hear it.
Look, I was.
But,
When you
go
walk
over-
away.
I've stopped on Alexander Drive, I come home that way a lot at night. And it's a rumble.
Yeah,
And
that's what I heard. I heard,
and-
boom.
Yes. What it is, when they grind heavy, they load it up, then they give it the zap.
Yeah.
And that's what gives you the
what it sounded.
vibration.
It sounded like a bass drum.
Yes.
Sir, and
It's like my grinder, wood chipping. When you grind a tree this big, it goes nice and smooth. When you put something like that in it,
Yeah, we
it's
hear
a
it
hammer.
in East Freetown when you do that.
Okay.
And again, you know,
He
the
knows
real,
best.
the real fact is that there's not noise 24/7. I mean, 24/7 is when they're operating. He's right. But probably 60–70%, and this is in testing phase, think about this.
You're
They're
getting
testing,
the-
and they
getting
gotta
the hard
test.
grinding.
Of course they gotta test, I get it. Please test everything and make it perfect. Love it. That's what I want. I don't mind if they stay there, but as long as we don't have vibration in my home, as long as, and it's vibration in the home, not outside the home. If you're outside, you're not gonna feel the vibration. You have to be inside the home because the whole home vibrates. the windows.
That's
This
an
year's
Did
a
you
violation
understand
of
this?
cabinet.
It's not
That's
outside.
the problem, and that's not going away.
I
It's
think
not
you
outside.
selectmen should go to one of their houses.
Exactly.
I invited
And
them.
the police officer was in my
And go in
home.
it.
The police officer was in my home and he felt it.
Let's let Lisa Pacheco have a chance to ask some questions.
Well, there's no hiding how I feel about this operation. It's no hiding how I felt about it since day one. I denied the permit. But they are in an industrial zoned area. And we do have to do something to live within those means. I do believe that your DEP permit is for you to get your machinery to run. That doesn't take away from what this town can do as part of your license. I do think that you do need to commission your facility to get it to work to where it needs to be. But if those issues don't go away, then this board can take away your license at any time. You do know that. Okay. So I do feel like we need to give them the time to commission their equipment. And I do think that we need to reach out to DEP to keep monitoring it as often as we feel is necessary. There's no way that the debris should be in anybody's yards. There's no way that we should feel that we can't walk outside and breathe fresh air. That's why we all live here. You just came here, but we've all been here. So I don't think there's any denying that we need to make sure that we take care of the people that live in this town. You're visitors, and you need to get along with everybody in this town. That's what you said. That's part of why the other two members of the board gave you the permit, because you looked at them in the eye and you said you would do everything that you could to make sure that you would be a good neighbor, and they will hold you accountable. And I think that this board should hold you accountable as well. That at the point where the commissioning is done, if things are not done the right way, I will make a motion to take away your permit.
Look, let's do this. The February 21st, we have a selectmen's meeting, okay? February 21st. Let's put it on the agenda for February 21st to see where they stand. And at that point, the board can make a decision as to whether we're gonna suspend their operation. Plain and simple.
I do believe
this-
hold on, I do believe they need the time necessary
Absolutely.
to iron out all the kinks.
But that's
understandable.
I'm not gonna take that away from them, and I do believe that it's a responsibility on our shoulders to make sure that we also reach out to DEP. I know you guys said that you had some verbal approval from them, that you were within the limits and not, I haven't seen any reports to say that you were or that you were not.
No, and it's
So-
good to.
And they
So
should
I
be
think
sent
that,
to you.
They didn't
I
do
would wanna see, and I would wanna look at it for myself. I'm not gonna take anybody's word for it, not you or them. I wanna see those reports, I wanna read them myself. I know we just got something in at 3:30 this afternoon. I haven't had time to review it. I have not been there since it's operated, but I will make sure that I go down there. When I come back from vacation, I do wanna make sure that I do go into your homes and see it as well.
This is all we're saying, you know, they might have been at their machine and they said that they DEP approved. You stand in our driveway and you will see the vibration and the sound.
The
Like a
DEP
breakfast dinner or
near the
something.
Okay,
machine.
but here, there's two things here. The DEP approval is just to get their machinery running and for you to operate that machinery.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily to
Then
operate
it's
in
your
the
job
town
to
of
listen.
Freetown.
Then it's your job to come
Okay.
in.
They have to have a
Then we
Can we
That's why I
call
didn't
one of you
understand.
people, you people are
Spend the day.
invited
Be
to.
happy to
Spend the
come to
day.
the homes.
I
Come
invited
to
them
the
for
house.
breakfast, dinner, and supper. And their kids and family.
Because they can certainly, the DEP could certainly go by and maybe they weren't performing, the machine wasn't running. That's the only explanation we know, because we.
He heard the bang.
Oh, I
He
heard
said
it. Yeah, I heard
And
it.
he only spent 30 minutes.
Right, exactly.
So he knows what
I mean,
he's talking
it
about.
wasn't a crashing bang. I heard boom. Well, I knew
Because
what it
you're not there
was.
long enough.
So
That's
there, I
all.
work nights, right, like I said earlier when I first spoke. I work nights and there are times that sometimes, whether it's 10, sometimes it's 12, that I wake up with a noise.
When is your 90 days up?
Sometime in, end of March, I believe.
End of March.
Well, let's go on again, on the 21st. Let's have a scorecard.
You want the 90 days? Or do
Well,
you
let's
want-
have a scorecard, see how they're doing. I mean, they would have mitigated some of this
I also
stuff.
want to, and I'll make a motion, actually.
Go ahead.
that we review on February 21st. Also, I'd like to make a motion to file a complaint with the DEP so that we can be kept in the loop and we can get numbers to see where they're performing and have some anonymous tests done.
I'll second that.
All right,
Unannounced test, I should say.
yeah, all right, I have no problem with that. So you guys understand what we're doing? Okay. All right, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Can I ask
And
one-
we'll get you,
just one
one
little
second.
short question?
Just let me finish.
Okay, so,
On the 21st, we'll have guys come back, maybe XL will come back, and we'll see if anything got any better. Go ahead, sir.
it's a short question. At one time, when Bob Vianna built that development and the road and the storm drains, I'm not a politician or into politics and nothing like that, but I seen the town hall with a bunch of people walk the street, which I don't think everybody, I don't know who they were, to make the storm drains turn around because they were in backwards. The street was never like topped off. They put a binder in. What I'm saying is that everybody walks this facility all around the neighborhood, you know, the town, the DP, without any of the people in the neighborhood knowing about it. Can we follow them? I'm saying, you know what I mean? I'll walk by, and then they can explain to us. Because we're not politicians or scientists, you know, and explain to us when they actually see it. When I see what they're seeing.
You mean, you want DEP
You want
seeing?
DEP
Right.
to tell you when they're there and.
Or when you walk around the neighborhood and when everything.
I didn't walk around the neighborhood, I drove by.
No, you drove
Because
by.
I wanted to
But
see
I'm
what
just
was
saying,
going
I
on.
would like, I really don't know if I can, but with the town selectmen or the people in the town, to take a walk with them, to see, you know, if they can explain, when I say, this is bad, and you
I
turn
don't
around.
know,
and-
I'm in that, I'm on High Street.
No, but I'm
that
just
whole
saying,
area.
and you told me this is all right, then I say, well,
Quite regularly.
I don't know what
I
I'm talking
know,
about.
And that's one of the reasons I brought up High Street, because I was at Charlie Sullivan's neighbor's house the other day,
Yeah.
and you could hear the shredder from there.
Okay, I just didn't want to think
So you know,
I'm
you're
lying
aware.
about anything.
I'm absolutely
Yeah.
aware. I live 2 miles away, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I can hear when something goes through. No, it's not loud in my house, 'cause I live a long ways away.
Of course.
But I can hear it.
Yeah.
So I know that there's noise issues, that's why I wanna know from DEP.
2 miles away?
Yeah.
2 miles away.
Well,
Yes.
see, Millways is like the highway.
Give him a good deal
So,
on it.
you're not talking to somebody that doesn't understand.
Yeah,
You're
that sound
probably trusting
area,
me.
it may, that sounds, I mean, I'm not an expert, but number one, I even highly doubt it if those barriers are somewhat even really sound barriers, like highway barriers.
Well, here's the
But
issue
that's
though.
beyond.
DEP said that this is okay to do with them.
Sure.
And they put in that final approval that was part of that settlement, this is what, because originally that's not what they were gonna have for sound barrier. They were gonna have what you have inside the highway, that wooden fence.
That's-
So DEP said to put this up. If it's not working, DEP's gonna fix the problem and we get it.
DEP said put containers?
They agreed to containers.
You get
Empty
It was
containers.
wooden fences originally, and they changed it to empty containers, and
But
their
that's
settlement,
I can't
their
believe
final
it.
approval. I read the final approval
I
today at
can't
3:30,
believe
she was
that.
talking
You know
about
what's,
it.
Yeah.
you know what's interesting? I spoke with Mr. Tom Cushing.
I think it should be full of foam myself.
It's like a
Acoustic
pan with a
foam.
spoon.
I
It's
spoke-
gonna echo, ain't it?
It also could reflect too.
And when I spoke
big
to
time.
Mr. Tom Cushing, and Joe was listening, he didn't know they were putting those barriers. He's like, oh, I'm not aware.
No, DP should read their final
That's
approval.
Mr. Cushing.
That was
No,
approved
this was
on-
before he inspected, he told me, oh, I haven't inspected, but I have not approved anything like
No, it's
that.
there.
So I don't know who took the initiative, but it doesn't matter.
I
The
think
matter is,
DEP,
there's these
the
issues.
DEP should
Now,
go
what
to
is
some of
it?
these people's houses.
I agree.
And go inside.
Yes, exactly,
They
exactly.
have the
guys are
scientists and
gonna
they have the
keep
technology.
Unannounced by,
You,
to the
oh,
facility.
you're gonna keep
Listen.
fucking the DEP.
Just call the.
I don't want to
Yes.
go whine.
Keep complaining to
You
DEP,
gotta
we're gonna,
fucking-
Well,
I've told
I've
them.
called them, they're supposed to return the call, then they don't.
Of course they.
I actually
do.
called-
Okay, they don't, I
All
mean,
right,
it
one
is
more
what-
person, the guy back here, that gentleman,
Well,
that,
what is the window for annual license approval? Is there a certain time that,
their particular license ends, April 30th.
and it's a one-year approval?
No, they have they were just issued, what happened was, the time period that, we were issuing for a year, okay? And then we realized that, we were told that by our attorneys that that type of business, and there's a couple others that fall into play here, they have to end on I believe it's April 30th. So we just issued them a license from December, I think, December something to April 30th. Then they have to get another one.
For 1 year.
Then it'll be a 1 year from May 1st through April 30th.
So if you're on their best behavior until April 1st, we get a renewal.
Well, they're gonna have to be on their best behavior. Ms. Pacheco just stated,
It's gonna come.
we can shut it down anytime.
We
yeah,
can pull their
understand
license
that.
at any time.
You know, we're talking about pollution, we're talking about, noise and vibration. And let's not forget, but one thing that's very important to us is the valuation of our homes.
That's right.
Our homes is worth
That
five.
becomes, yeah.
Listen, you're not gonna shut anybody down because the value of the
Your
house.
value.
That's a different issue, yeah.
That's a
we
different
understand.
issue, but I mean, it's a fact.
That would be something that we need to resolve afterwards. If they resolve all these issues, which I hope so, I highly doubt it, but I hope so. I mean, I want them to, that's all I'm saying.
What are you gonna do when you can sell your
Well,
house?
I mean, I would like them to resolve the issues, but then obviously the taxes, that's another issue that we need to bring it up, because there is depreciation in all properties. But I understand this has
They're not
nothing to do with
bringing-
this board.
they're not
Well,
bringing
then
any
I'm not-
value.
I know, Joe, but this has nothing to do, from what I understand from this board, this
Yeah,
has to do with a different board, right?
That's accessible to
It does
Yes,
have
then
a
we would have to
now.
bring that to another issue. But so, and from this perspective, I hope they will. I highly doubt if they're gonna.
Taxes every year.
My taxes is due next month.
But
Maybe
anyhow.
February 1st.
February 1st. Are they gonna help with the tax,
Ask him, he might throw you a fine.
With my taxes?
Yeah, right.
See the
All
answer we
right,
got?
all right,
He
listen.
didn't say no.
This has been going on for an hour and 25 minutes, and we got a ton of other stuff.
All right.
Can we see you guys again on the, what is it, 21st?
Thank you.
February 21st.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, we only have so much time here?
Do we have the hotline?
Well, you can stay, but we're
Yeah, the
gonna go on
hotline,
the rest of the
that's the
stuff.
other thing.
Where does that
We
come
never
from?
heard about the
No, no,
hotline.
clam boil.
We're at the gun. Hey, will you like to try what they were doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
do this in bachelor.
We're gonna adjourn the meeting because somebody is gonna miss something.
I'm missing
All
my
right,
dinner.
you're missing your dinner, so,
Housewives of Beverly Hills.
all right, where are we?
Reality TV.
Where are you? There's somewhere in here.
That's yours. I wrote on the back of the phone, the hotline.
Shelter, you already
Why don't you
No.
read that hotline number, Paul?
What?
Do you mind reading that hotline number so it's on the record for That's one-
The hotline number
Excel?
for Excel, anybody wants to, has a complaint for, about Excel, this is their hotline number, 508-636-3377.
Supposedly it's manned 24 hours a day.
Okay. We approved the shelter thing, and I'm trying to find the,
Where,
is it under personnel?
what, animal control?
The,
Approved use of volunteer for animal control?
yeah.
It's under Board of Selectmen.
Oh, there you go. Approve the use of volunteers to work with you for the animal control. Made a request.
Yeah.
The board has to vote on it.
Town council.
Town council has given us a form that the person has to sign, fill out, and the form that I received was, it just had the person's name on it. There's additional pages that have to be filled out.
Right.
She signs that, then we're good, and turns it back into the town, we're good to go.
Okay.
And that was recommended by town council to use anytime we have volunteers.
Right.
Okay, so is there a motion?
Is that one of those, before you make the motion, is that one of those positions that's in lieu of taxes to a certain amount and all that?
No, it's not, she has to do community service. So she approached me, she needs 12 hours. She approached me wanting to know if she likes animals, if there's a, so really what I'm gonna have her do is not have, there's no contact with any animals. I have a lot of things to get, prepared for, say we have a blizzard, for evacuations, emergencies, things like that. A lot of donated equipment, things like that, that we need to kind of tag and clean up and get ready. So I was gonna have her do that.
You said community service, court mandated community
Yes,
service?
court
Court
mandated.
mandated.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't mention her name. That's the only time you need.
That's the only time I've ever gotten a request, but I did get an email with a blank one in the future if somebody, so at least we have the form, because I think the form you have has her name on it.
Yes. In fact, you can have it back if you want.
Okay.
Take it with you, I don't need it, I don't need to know. Okay, so is there a motion to to approve this? To allow this? Guess not, there's no motion. What?
I've not seen anything like this before.
Okay.
So,
Is the motion for this specific person, or is it motion just
For this
to accept the form as it's
This
presented by?
specific case. In
I
other
don't
words-
know enough about the case.
Okay, she came,
Right.
all I know,
I-
you,
I'm
s-
confused.
you sent a request to the Board of Selectmen.
Well, I asked Jack what I
Yeah,
needed
okay.
to do, because I got a request, this girl needs to perform some community service,
And I got the form from town council.
and he
You
said he
got
had
the
to talk
form
to
from
town
town
council,
council.
that's the last.
And
And then
Martha
I
sent
was
us
told
a
to
form
come here.
saying if you wanna do that, you want the person to sign this form, this release. You guys don't know anything about this?
The release, yeah, I know about the release, and if that's what we're voting on, sure, I'll vote to, or I'll make a motion to do the release, but the specific person, if we're voting on that, I don't know anything about the specific person, and
Or
whether
the
they should be
background or anything.
employed
No,
by the town,
Right.
as a volunteer.
It's a volunteer.
It's a volunteer, she's not, I don't know anything about the person myself. Town council came back and said, if you wanna allow someone in this situation, you want them to sign this form.
Have you done a
to
background
release
check
this.
and know about the person and what
I
their
know this person.
offense was, and that it's okay for them to be around people or animals, or?
Yeah, they're not, they're gonna be with me for 12 hours.
I worry about your safety as well as
I'm not worried about
the
that.
dog safety.
Absolutely, there's no dogs involved. It's equipment, it's cages, it's kennels, and it's me. And I'm not worried
You're
one
Now he's
bit.
setting a precedent.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
a young girl that,
Let's not even do it.
Okay.
No, no.
It's up to the board. I don't,
If did you do a background check on the person?
no, I just sent Jack an email.
Or why don't we hold it off till the next meeting, and then, we'll do some due diligence, and make sure we know what we're signing.
How long does she
So
have
the
to do this?
23rd of January,
Has to do this 23rd?
before
Before the 23rd.
Yeah.
do you know this person?
Yeah,
Do you know,
yes.
so you don't need to do a background check, do you?
Well, yeah, if the board, if a selectman is asking her to do a background check, she needs to do it.
But they didn't know that she's known to me.
We all know the same amount of information. That's what we have to know, that's it.
that's all you know
That's
too.
all.
Mhm.
The only thing is, when Jack mentioned her request to me, I said, we better run it by the attorney. The attorney
Right,
came
I
back and
totally
gave
agree,
us that.
I totally
That's it.
agree that if we're ever gonna have a volunteer, any volunteer, that we would have to have something in writing. I think
Absolutely.
we've crossed that bridge before.
Right,
When
yeah,
people
and I
say
don't
they wanna
disagree with that.
volunteer,
Right.
the Boy Scouts or whatever, like, those kinds of things. But this also has a little bit of a twist to it. And for community service, like, I don't know what the offense is, I have no clue.
But you do know that the animal control officer knows this person and acceptable.
But I'm gonna reiterate what Mr. Joe said, he also is worried about her safety as well, so I don't.
I'm assuming this must be a minor offense.
Right.
Where they only got community service that they can do with the dog officer, but I'm not, that didn't fall.
I know.
Animal control
I know what
officer.
you mean, Rob, I know.
So,
I wish I would've known about this more.
when is the next meeting?
I don't have that phone with me. I thought, weren't they all copied on those emails back and forth with Copeland and Page?
Town council, I don't know.
All I got was the release, and I thought,
That's it.
I didn't realize it was court ordered.
I didn't realize that until right now.
I don't remember what was on the email itself.
I don't have that phone's in the car, so.
When's the next meeting?
Makes no difference to me, I was just kind
No,
of
I-
making sure
The
we
next,
today.
the next meeting is the 23rd, so.
So
it's
you'll
still
have no
good.
time to do that.
It's all good. All right, well, we'll go by it then.
Unfortunately, can they find somewhere else to do?
Yeah, well,
And,
she'll
but, I
have
mean,
to,
we can
that's fine, I
review
don't.
and come up with a process for the next time if somebody wants to do this in the future. We
Yeah,
can-
well, in 5 years, this is the first time anybody's ever asked,
I've never heard
so
of, I never
didn't
saw
know.
it.
Yeah.
I've heard of community service before, but
Not
to be
you.
honest with you, I never knew.
We don't have, right, we don't, you're right, we don't have a procedure or
Mhm.
It'd be nice to have.
when is it appropriate, when is it not
Right.
appropriate, like, we have no, and I feel like if you and I had a conversation probably before this, it would have been different, the outcome might have been different, but right now I don't know anything, I'm blind to all of this, so.
I guess the important thing here that I'm getting out of this conversation is that when you have a request, make sure you send it to everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
At least the personnel chair, so she would be.
Yeah, I could have looked at both of you and said, I feel more comfortable, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. I don't have that right now.
Yeah, we should have a process. We should have a procedure, just like we have a hiring procedure, we should have a volunteer procedure, just to make sure that we're not putting somebody in a position that's not suitable.
A Cory check, or whatever
Certain
we
things.
come up with, so.
Okay.
I think that should be performed on all new hired town employees.
So would you like me to work on that process, volunteer process?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna move on, sorry, we kept you, have a cold supper.
You're all for that, but nothing. Sorry.
That's what they made my voice for. Bye.
All right, let's go to the top.
Annual renewal?
No, the top,
Oh, approval.
Board of Selectmen's minutes.
We're holding Kevin.
Oh, we're holding Kevin, let's go to the Board of Health. Mr. Jones, you take it from here.
Board of Health, we received a question, not a petition, but a question about Circle K in a Sonnet, I believe. They wanted to run change their hours of operation to 24 hours. The Board of Health oversees the food aspect of the operation, not the gas or signage aspect of the operation. And, well, let me turn it over to you. So what do we know? What did they apply for? What's the story?
They have a regular food permit, milk and cream, tobacco, and they requested to just extend their hours. We did some research in the bylaws. Couldn't find anything that would restrict anything that I could see, except for I have given you the wording on the signs being illuminated from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. That would need a special permit.
Kevin, you're here as the chairman of the planning board?
I'm here because I was asked to come and talk about this. So I guess I'm here to answer any questions should you have.
What's past practice in other areas, retail operations, what's typical?
Typically, for retail operations, in my experience, I can't remember any hours of operations being set. We've done hours of operation relative to a sign, and that's typically, in most cases, represents their hours of operation. Kevin's right, there is nothing in our protected bylaws that regulate hours of operation here in town. This is a copy of their special permit. I say there, it's the original gas station. Beta Realty owned it at one point in time. They needed a special permit to construct a gas station. There is no hours of operation in their special permit. That's what I best prepared as best I could. I really didn't know exactly.
Has anybody applied for a 24-hour operation in the past?
They wouldn't need to.
They don't have to, based on our bylaws.
Yeah.
Well, if they're before me, I don't know about what happens outside. If they're before me and the planning board, Amazon, but you're talking retail.
Retail.
No, that I know of. No. Retail.
Retail.
And Stop and Shop was before we had site plan review. Since then, we've had.
This original application was prior to site plan review.
Yeah, this was 2000, actually it was before I got on board.
So what's the question, I guess? What is the question? Can we approve, deny?
We don't have to do anything, they didn't even have to tell us,
Well,
based on our rules.
they do if they want to change they applied
For what?
for gas. Well, they're asking to see if they can be open 24 hours a day
Right,
for
so
full
they need
operations.
approval.
Yeah, I guess what they.
So, and that's a change of what was originally prescribed to them.
Where? we don't give them any permit. All we do is give them a permit to sell what? Just
Tobacco, retail food, milk and
Yeah,
food.
we
But I
don't
guess
re-
if they're gonna illuminate the signs past 12 PM to 6 AM, would they need to go back in front of
They
them?
gotta go back in front of them for the sign.
Oh, you gotta
That's it.
tell them that.
I really, okay, I'm so confused right now, like, as to why this is in front of us. If we don't have anything to do with it, if we do have something to do with it, then I have a whole lot to say about it. First of all, we're trying to get reduced truck traffic. I think that if we're putting that on for 24 hours, you're gonna see an increase in truck traffic. And that's the last thing I wanna do right now, is have those neighbors on South Main Street up in arms one more time, because now we're gonna increase truck traffic. Not only that, we've also taken a lot of time and effort to try to stop people from sleeping down there. So now we're gonna have a 24-hour operation. Now we're gonna see more trucks sleeping, those, whatever they do to sleep down there. I mean, there's a whole host of problems.
Isn't this a gas station?
I guess that's why we came to the board, because when they asked us for
Isn't this a
24
gas
hours,
station?
we didn't see anything, but we knew it's gonna start that conversation. I don't know if it's best to call Circle K in and say, hey, we're concerned about these certain
There are a lot of
issues.
things to be concerned about. I mean, I'm not gonna stick my head in the sand and pretend like, okay, it's only a gas station, people are gonna come off the highway. No. This is gonna be an increase of a whole set of new problems. That's how I feel. Sorry. You don't think so?
I see an awful, listen, I see an awful lot of places open 24 hours.
In town?
Not in town, everywhere.
I mean, the city of Fall River, I can name 3 or 4, but that's a
we
city of
don't
100,000 people, not a town of
We
10.
don't have any bylaw to stop them.
No, so you don't think, so we don't permit gas stations in the town of Freetown?
Sorry, what?
We don't permit gas stations? Permit. Gas stations?
We permit hours of operation for things.
Oh, for retail?
You've asked a specific question, 2 of them.
Mhm.
One, do I remember a retail establishment coming in and us on the planning board setting hours of operation? No, off the top of my head. I asked Lauren about that today, she looked at it, she couldn't see it. 2, do we permit gas stations? Gas stations require a special permit. So yes. Do we now permit drive-throughs? Yes, those require a special permit.
Would this be a change, would the hours be a change of use in our current bylaws?
Change of use?
Change of use.
Wait a minute, hold on. Before we go down that road while I'm on TV, I'm not the zoning enforcement official. So I think some of your questions need to be directed at the zoning enforcement official relative to how he would look at it, or she, whoever the person is. But if you're asking just my general opinion, no, changing your hours do not change your use. It just changes your hours of operation. Speaking generally.
I would entertain a motion that we say no to Circle K. That's what we're gonna say no to their request. They made a request to us, just say no.
Are they actually making a request to us, or are they asking us advice? Or a direction?
My office wasn't contacted, it was, and I was not here. The Board of
I got,
Selectmen's office was contacted.
here's what I got from Kevin Bernardo. You all got this,
Mhm.
okay? It says, a request came from Circle K Asona to operate 24 hours. Currently, the Board of Health permits them for tobacco, retail food, and milk and cream. Since this would be a change of their operation hours and the possibility of residential concern and complaint, I feel it would be better that the board review, discuss, and act on this matter. Nothing could be found in our bylaws regarding hours. However, we did find something on sign illumination. No sign shall be illuminated between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. except signs on premises open for business, and then only upon, issuance of a special permit by the special permit granting authority. Now, I talked to Kevin about signs, and there's only specific signs that this applies to. That's what I think.
Internally lit signs.
Internally lit signs. So, I mean, the board, make a motion that we're not gonna allow it, whatever you wanna do. But what I'm saying to you is, it's hard to, if I was Circle K, I wouldn't even made the request. Now, there's some other mitigating things that maybe are in people's heads, that there's rumor going around that Circle K, it wants to buy, or they bought, the plaza next to where they operate. And they wanna put some type of diesel fuel site there. That could be something mitigating, but wouldn't they have to come and reapply for special permits?
That's correct.
And it would have to be a separate facility, wouldn't it?
Separate facility be attached to the gas station operation?
I don't know. All I know is if they wanted, if there was a change and they wanted to increase the size of their existing facility for
Well,
gas or
okay,
diesel,
existing-
they would have to come in for a special permit.
Right.
Yeah. If they
Now-
wanted to look at this as a separate lot and it's a separate facility, they would have to come in because it's a new facility.
Okay, now, let me ask, in your wisdom, if we said, if we had no opinion on open 24 hours now, okay, and then they bought that other place, or maybe they've already bought it, and they come before you guys to attach it, would you have control over the hours then? You would.
In a special permit.
Right, you have
Not
control.
site plan review, but under a special permit, we basically can set any rules.
Okay, and that would require them to come before you.
On the new facility or on the old facility or both?
I think both. I mean, their special permit speaks specifically to even an additional restaurant. If you remember, that's where the Windwall was. And the Home Plate restaurant was there too. They could not open an additional restaurant in that plaza. So, to answer your question, special permits can be very specific relative to hours of operations, what you can and can't do there. Just a, you know, a point to consider that if we have no rule or no regulations or no protective bylaw that would require them to come in and ask for a permit or get permission, I think we need to consider that before we make a motion, and I say we, the town, relative to how they can operate. I always say this when we're doing planning board and we're writing decisions, that they have to be defendable. And, you know, we're put in an awful sticky spot sometimes on planning board with certain things, special permits. We can't just be willy-nilly. We can't just say because we don't want it or we don't like it. It has to be very specific. So.
Well, that kind of like, when I see something that comes to the Board of Selectmen, being the chairman, the first thing I do is I read it. And then I try to determine whether we have any bylaws that require these people to ask for this, and if we do, can we set hours? So what do? I go to the people that know. We look at the bylaws. I check with the planning board, the chairman of the planning board, to find out, is there anything we can do here? We talked about this last week. And then I come forward and we talk about it here in the meeting. But, I mean, I couldn't find anything which said we can do anything other than, they don't even have to ask us. But
They are.
Well, they don't have to.
But they are, and they're
All right,
asking,
so make a motion
request
that you
came in,
want to give it
no,
to them.
a request came in. I can say, okay, well, I deny your request. I can say that. They're asking me, I can say, I deny your request, personally.
I know, I don't care either way.
This obviously, this is a topic that needs a little bit more discussion.
Oh, it does.
Mr. Jones had asked that, we have a planning board meeting tomorrow, and asked that this be put on the agenda, and I put it on the agenda, so the planning board can discuss it. And I think
That's, to be clear, not this specific issue. That's for a general zoning bylaw. Okay, I just want to be specific. This wasn't in lieu of that. This was a general, okay.
There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Sorry, this is not good, but I should use that terminology. But the bottom line is, you know, if the Board of Selectmen could get in the habit or create a bylaw that says all new businesses or all existing businesses must register with the town and get a business license. And then you guys could act on an individual basis. You could do a general bylaw that basically says the town's gonna roll the carpet at this time. You could also get into specific zones and look at different zones and say, okay, village business, you can be open till this time, our business district can be open till this time, but you know, we have 24-hour facilities here in town now. And we've got a couple more that are gonna be working at least 2 shifts. you know, with Republic, American, Excel might be running, I don't know if they're gonna be running the second shift or not, but.
No,
So
they're
there's, so there's 3 or 4 facilities within a mile of that area.
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop,
Amazon.
Amazon, Republic, when it comes here, is gonna have a second shift. American's gonna have a second shift. Hell, most of the retail establishments have a second shift because they work, you know. So, all things need to be considered. And I don't know, there hasn't been enough conversation or discussion about it, certainly with my board, with the planning board, yet, which is why we're gonna discuss it tomorrow. But I think there's a lot of different ways. I don't know on the business licensing, that requires a town meeting, but any other way is gonna require a town meeting. And you can require, much like the sign bylaw, you can require that, or make it so that businesses aren't grandfathered. If it's just a license or a registration, you could force them to come in to register and get their license. But right now, the way it works is a guy comes in or a gal comes in, they wanna open up a business, they go upstairs, they talk to Scott, Scott goes out, does an inspection of the facility. If it passes, and I don't wanna speak for Scott, but I believe if it passes inspection relative to building code and safety and for the prescribed business, then he gives Jackie a call and says, issue the certificate. And they get a business certificate, which is for their taxes, it proves that they're a viable business. But other than that, we don't have a, near as I could see, I've looked at it, Lauren's looked at it, we've discussed it, I went to the building department, asked today, there is no business licensing that's done by any board in town.
So if we have a business license, if the townspeople vote to have a business license, that means any business coming in would have to go and get a license from the Board of Selectmen?
It would be however you write the requirements, the rules and regulations. You know, I don't know if it's an MGL that would determine how you operate under that, or it could be just something as simple as Selectmen add a protective bylaw to our town bylaws. It's that, you know, any new business or any business in town on a yearly basis must get a license.
And we could put.
I'm assuming if you created rules and regulations for that, and all businesses would have to be treated the same and looked at that way, I don't think it's any different than what you would do with your Board of Health, rules and regulations and that kind of stuff. That's my assumption. Now, I don't have enough experience, I have never sat on that side of the board, so I don't know. But I think there's a few ways that you can control this, because Lisa's got viable concerns. I think we all do. Do we want, you know, businesses in the middle of our historic district open all night? Do we want to try to increase truck traffic? You know, there's a lot of things that are open for discussion.
I can understand that in the Sona area because of the truck traffic building, but if somebody, if a gas station in East Freetown wanted to stay open 24 hours, it's convenience to the people that work night shifts and so forth, you know?
The neighbors around it though might not think the same,
Right.
just like the neighbors around.
And that's why I think it's not an easy
That area.
conversation. I don't think it's as easy as just creating a blanket bylaw that says all retail establishments have to be closed in this area. Because quite honestly, you look at someplace like Innovation Way, or you take the PMUD area, the Planned Mixed Use Development area on South Main Street, where if all goes well, we've seen plans that show hotels and restaurants and you know, retail outlets, not retail outlet, but retail stores, that kind of stuff. You know, if we have a blanket bylaw, well, if I'm a Circle K type and I'm looking to locate here, but I can only be open till X amount, I might decide not to. So you might look at individual zones. Innovation Way, we've got there's an idea floating around there for some other types of development up there that I'm sure would be asking to be open, you know, later.
2 shifts.
You know, two shifts, you know, maybe 3. Given that you have 3 shifts working at Amazon, 800 people going in and out of that facility every
And
day.
it's not in a residential neighborhood, that's not,
right.
you know, somebody developing the four corners, the blue building in the four corners, and saying, okay, now we wanna be open 24 hours a day in the middle of the four corners.
Right.
Well, there is legitimate neighbor concerns in the middle of the four corners versus Innovation Way.
Right, which is far away.
I mean, there's gonna be more noise complaints in the middle, it used to be in the four corners anyhow, there used to be noise complaints, but there'll be more noise complaints and more, just because there're gonna be people there that weren't there before.
But there's no residential areas down by Circle K.
Not that,
Yeah, down further.
not that specific area, no, there isn't, but that's,
No, and again, keeping in mind, we talked a lot about, you know, the Excel site and the industrial area. You know, to Robbie's point, 2 years were spent on the zoning then. We had hardly anything for zoning. And if I'm not mistaken, when they created that area up there, it was industrial, and then it was general, and the property owner decided to make it residential. The property owner, I believe, Bob Vienna at the time, decided that was a commercial site before. That was a sand and gravel. I mean, that was, so I think we've done a good job with the village residential, the village business, seeing where our business districts are, locating them near the off-ramp so they get quick on, quick off. Convenience, whether it's the guy traveling at night or you're getting on the highway and grabbing your morning coffee. So I think it's, the conversation needs to be had, and I think we need to talk about it a bit more. How do we do this? How do we do, is it by zones, districts, licensing through the select board, a general bylaw? And that,
and some of that we can take up with the planning.
Yeah.
The planning board.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the selectmen have to decide too, hey, listen, this is how we want to do it. Because, again, zoning is very nuanced, and people are always pushing, if you will, or falling into a gray area. Village business district, right in the Sonnet, we're encouraging a business on the first floor, residents on the second floor. So somebody opens up a pottery studio on the first floor, and it's open to the general public during that time, but in the evenings, they like to work there. I mean, are we gonna tell them that they can't be open? It's a retail establishment, but they're not open to the public. You know, so I think there has to be a greater conversation about what this really means.
Open to, I'll entertain motions.
For what?
For whatever. That's why we have this discussion. If there is no motions, then we'll pass on.
Well,
And that's why.
I won't make the motion, but I'm gonna tell you that based on our bylaws, our current bylaws, that Circle K doesn't even have to ask us permission to operate. I don't think any, whether it's Circle K, anybody else, right now, based on the law that we have in effect, no one has to ask us about staying open 24 hours, because
This board, no.
we have nothing.
Zone, planning,
It's a different, if it's a different ballgame with planning if they're opening a new business.
and one of
or
the.
they're making a change.
One of the issues with Circle K is they're assuming a permit that was granted, a special permit that was granted to the previous owner. And we said there's nothing in there about hours of operation. But Circle K isn't specifically permitted,
Circle K isn't permitted,
specifically permitted.
so they can't operate.
They took the permit, took over the permit that was allowed by,
Before we're on TV again speaking.
Yeah, we're
so
on
that folks-
special permit.
So that folks can understand. The operation that exists there is permitted. Regardless
yeah.
of who the name is. So when we say things like Circle K isn't permitted, I want to be very careful. The operation, the gas station is permitted through a special permit issued in 2000. So,
No matter who owns it, you're saying. So they
it's the
don't-
use.
Yeah, it's the use.
the use is allowed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and on that thing, there was nothing that said that they could not operate.
I checked it again, I've got the copy, I'll leave it with the board.
No, I mean, you checked it, I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing there.
No.
No, I guess.
There was,
all-
you know, discussion, aplenty, parking and sidelines and setbacks and drainage and.
I'm not making any motion, I'm just saying that based on my review of the law and my discussions with people that are involved in making the decisions in the town, that there was nothing that precluded them at this time from staying open 24 hours. However, things all come into play if they own that property and they wanna change the use, all bets are off.
If there's a change of use that requires a special permit, if there's an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming or expansion of a special permit,
Everything changes.
you'll have to come back in for another special
But
permit.
Does that
don't
include
you-
lighting? The signage?
No.
The
This is
signage was
before.
allowed.
This is before, this is back in 2000.
But isn't it true though that right now you have no authority to deny it?
What, there's nothing to
There's nothing
deny.
denied, they didn't apply for anything. They asked that
They're requesting, a request came in to operate 24 hours, a request.
Yeah.
So,
And they don't need to make a request.
but they did.
Well,
It doesn't matter. They don't have to.
Then it's not asking for any action by this board either, is it?
I don't think so. But, I mean, it's immaterial. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm only reporting back on what I found within the laws and the bylaws of the town of Freetown. That's it. So, if Circle K is watching, they know what we're talking about.
So hearing no action.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa.
Why?
If you're gonna ask
Asked for
me,
a motion for a while ago.
okay, if you're gonna then I would, if a request came in for Circle K to operate 24 hours and it's a request, then I would make a motion to deny their request. That's it.
All right, any second on that motion? I'll second the motion. We have motion made and second to deny the request, simply being a request. Any further discussion on the motion?
Yes. What does that mean?
What does what mean?
What does that mean? You're denying the request.
Right.
You're denying a request that they didn't have to make. Is that what, I want to be clear. You're denying a request that the individual didn't have to make.
Sure.
Okay.
So by nature of making a request, if they didn't make a request, there would be
Right.
nothing to deny.
So
Or-
I can
or
understand.
grant.
So I can understand this correctly.
And is it legally binding?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that'd be up to the attorney to. I mean,
Go ahead, call the motion.
I have a question. Would you send them a letter stating? Because I
request
think
is
they,
denied?
did they request in writing? I don't even know.
No. You're the one that generated this.
Ally.
I'm the one that.
Ally what?
Yeah, Ally said that she received a request. And
It
she
wasn't
forwarded-
you?
She forwarded it to me.
And I asked to put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still a request.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, I don't even know if it was in writing, so
Emotions,
do we
Well-
respond back in writing?
Well, where did the request, where's the original request?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm asking you that.
Ally sent me an email saying Circle K is requesting to open 24 hours a
Could have
day.
been a verbal request.
Yeah, can you look into this?
Well, do
And
we
get
know,
back to us?
Mr. Healy?
No, I don't know.
Unfortunately, she's not here.
Well, call your.
It did. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
That concludes Board of Health.
This is a long meeting.
Approve the Board of Selectmen minutes for December 7th, 12th, 14th of 2016.
I'll make a motion to approve the 7th and the 14th. You're done.
Yeah.
I was not here on the 12th.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
I wasn't here on the 12th.
Yeah, be good.
There's some grammatical stuff in here that was, but the content was pretty much the same, so I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So you'll have to do the 12th.
Oh,
I
that
did
was
the 7th and the 14th. I wasn't here on the 12th.
Make a motion to approve the 12th as read.
Second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Annual renewal of Class 2 licenses for Herd's Auto Body, Clements Auto Sales, Hometown Automotive, and Chipway Auto.
Do we have those?
Probably all in here. They're in our package.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, did we have to hear it?
No, I
Have we had any complaints filed with the town? Jack, you know?
No.
No, you don't know, or no, there were no complaints?
No, I know of no complaints.
No complaints.
As far as I'm concerned, there weren't any.
With no complaints, I'll make a motion to endorse.
Second.
Okay, motion made with no complaints that we're gonna endorse. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, I complain.
Okay. Next thing. the cultural council, those are the people that do a good job down in the Sonnet. They decorate the Christmas tree and the gazebo and all that other good stuff, and they have Santa Claus come to town and pass out chocolate, hot chocolate and donuts.
You sure? 'Cause I didn't see either one of you there.
Well, that's because I missed it this year, the first time I ever missed it.
Sure it is.
Actually, I was dressed up as Santa Claus.
Was it?
And our good neighbors at CCA have made a donation of $5,000 to the town of Freetown, to the Cultural Council specifically, to buy Christmas lights and decorations for that area. So there's a request here to accept the donation.
Well, they spent the money, we gotta accept the donation.
Well, I don't know, did they already spend the money?
Motion
without us
accept.
accepting it?
Motion accept.
Second.
Motion made. So, are we approving?
Accept.
We must be approved. Are we accepting the expenditure here?
Just a donation here.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I have a quick question though, because you,
It is part of Freetown, that's what you're after.
yes, I know that, thank you. Were the flags ever put up on the Freetown side?
East Freetown side?
Yeah, no?
No. There was an issue with the flag.
Do we have any
Oh.
lights put up on East Freetown?
No, but that's why we increased their
There's a lot of-
budget, was to make sure we got flags for that side of town. I don't
There's a
know
lot
what
of
happened.
private property on that side of town too, that, and I asked a member, the chairman of the
Yes,
commission,
I know, I wish.
and, 'cause I said, well, can we put something up in the rotary, and there was sightline issues. They said, no, we can't erect a tree in the middle of the rotary because of sightline issues, and it's abutted by private property on 80%. I said, what about flags? And I was told he was gonna go shopping for the flags with the ones they wanted, there was an issue with, so we were gonna go buy some cheaper ones, and I guess that.
All right, we need to make sure that gets done for next year, because,
For Christmas.
yeah.
See, being the selectman from Precinct 3, I want you people all to hear this, that we were slighted again. We didn't even
Yes.
have any Christmas trees, we
I
didn't even
know.
have a Santa Claus.
I totally
I wanted to put a
agree.
Christmas tree in the middle, I thought a nice Christmas tree in the middle of the rotary would be pretty. No.
Yeah, we need to make sure that.
Can't see around the rotary.
I wanna make sure
That's an
that
issue.
that's taken care of next year, so.
Jessica, where are you? I just wanna let you know that I read the thing about the taxes. As this meeting draws on, we get punchy. As long as Lisa doesn't punch me.
I don't think there's overtime, is there?
No.
As long as my phone doesn't go off, we're all set.
All right. Also, the chief
Time
of
to play in the morning?
You're leaving tomorrow. You're going to,
No, tomorrow afternoon I'm leaving to go to Boston. My flight leaves the next day very early.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What flight number are you on?
Where you going? Bermuda?
Aruba.
Aruba. Okay.
There's no extradition from Aruba.
All right. We had a request from the chief of police, who's sitting in the audience. Get a good picture of him, would you? He's right over there.
Hiding behind a post.
He's asking us, he has a 2008 Ford Crown Vic and a 2011 Ford Crown Vic, old police cars. I thought, when I first read this, I thought he was gonna donate them to each of the selectmen that don't drive more expensive cars, but I found out that these vehicles were taken out of service in 2012 and 2014. Over the past couple of years, they were stored at a local auto body where they were periodically stripped of various parts that were used to keep other police cruisers going in the fleet. And finally, the auto body owner recently contacted the chief and requested that he remove the property from the location. So I guess we're gonna have to declare it.
I'll make a motion to
junk.
declare the 2008 and the 2011 Crown Victorias as surplus.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we had public record training this morning for the department heads. And we have a new public records law that's in effect. And we've had 2 public records requests, and just to let everybody know that we had a request from somebody that makes standard requests, and they want all the executive session minutes for 2016. All right.
I think that on a Tuesday, after the meeting, after we have our meeting, because as soon as we're done the meeting, he can request these, anybody can. I think that the standard, operating procedure should be, Jack, on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
for those to be redacted right away. So then that way, because right now we have to spend a lot of time going over this, but moving forward, I think that we need to make sure that we redact everything right away, so then if somebody comes in, we don't have to go through all of that all over again. I think it should be part of standing operating procedure.
We still have to approve the draft minutes before they can be released. Or we release them, we have to approve them or say they're not ready for
No,
release?
I don't,
Well,
no,
what's-
not
No,
anymore.
no, they should get a draft set.
Yeah,
So they can get draft minutes?
yeah.
Okay.
But you can
But-
redact everything out of it, give them a big,
No, you can't.
so, you got it,
Only things
the
that's no
names,
pending.
there's
Only
substance, right.
redact the names and the substance if
It's
it's.
a substance,
if- yes.
right.
Still pending?
From executive session.
Executive session, yep.
Right.
Yeah. And I came to the meeting this morning, and when they were talking about it, I mentioned that these boards, there's some boards that tend not to take minutes as they're going along, and they write them a couple of days later. They better have them ready, they better write them that night, so they can have them in case this gentleman
Right,
requests them, because this isn't gonna go away.
no.
What's the fee structure? I know there's a fee structure assigned now.
5 cents a copy. Although, you can add the time it takes, I guess, to 5 cents to copy it, and the time it takes for
To
the
prepare it.
lowest salaried person to prepare it. That's my understanding. You were there, chief. If
Yeah.
I'm making any mistakes, tell me.
That's correct so far. There's a couple of other things. I mean, if you were gonna, somebody made a public request for a 911 recording, they would be able to get that in its native, rather than being, typed out, et cetera. You can not only charge, as Paul said, if it's so many hours, over 2 hours, but you could charge for the actual media you copied it on, and things like that. But other than that, generally, it's 5 cents a page. And that hurts us greatly because we used to, by statute, which they have eliminated, we used to get $5 for an accident report, et cetera, et cetera. I think, it's wonderful to have open records. I certainly don't oppose that. But this is very cumbersome and very overwhelming, depending on, like this gentleman's request for all the executive. It can overwhelm your secretary immediately. It can overwhelm our records clerk. So,
Now, does postage count? Does he have to pick it up in person and sign for it? How does that work?
well, the person would have a choice. They could come in and pick it up, or they could have it mailed to them, and postage would be included. Or they could come in and review the documents at no charge and scan them or take pictures, et cetera.
That's exactly what his
At
request is.
At no charge.
That's what his request
Yeah,
is.
he's coming in to read it.
Oh, I thought it said if it's more than
Well, if
$10,
it's
you
more
want
than
itemized.
2 hours to redact, compile, et cetera, you'd give them a good faith estimate about that,
Yeah. Over $10, you wanted a itemized bill or something.
But the important thing is to respond initially within 10 days.
10 days.
Then you get 25 to respond within 10, you get 25 days to complete the
I
request.
believe so.
All right.
Including that 10 though, right? 25, so
No,
it's
that's-
an additional 15 on top of, once you respond,
You got 15 more.
15 more days.
Yeah, that's 10 business days, so
Yeah.
that gives you a little extra.
2 business weeks.
All right, next thing, discuss, set any dates to meet with the Board of Selectmen in Lakeville.
When the regional school finance committee meeting? That's,
Next one's the 17th.
it's January, right?
Yes.
Today's the
They can't
Next-
meet until the
next
30th.
Wednesday?
They want to meet the 30th, isn't that right?
January 30th?
I believe
But we
so.
don't get our department head things until when?
29th is what we had added in mind.
No, we get, you mean the stuff from,
Us. When do we review departments?
I think it's about February 6th.
February 6th, right?
I could be off a day
They
or
gotta be
two,
in by
but
the 29th and we're reviewing
in
on the
by,
6th.
yeah, roughly
First
that.
week, okay.
Yeah, February 6th.
That way Kim's got time to.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's the 29th, they have to be in by.
Put our whole notebook
But
together.
when is the superintendent presenting his budget
I don't know.
to the school committee? It's usually in January.
Tomorrow,
Is it tomorrow?
wait,
You're gonna miss it.
yeah. Yeah.
She's
Wait,
got an
what's
advance
what's-
copy
No,
already.
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
and I'll really miss it, 'cause I'll be by the pool
Is
at
he
that
gonna- is he
point.
gonna- is he gonna send it to you?
I don't know,
You go
Not down there, isn't it?
I don't
Well-
want that as my reading
Yeah, I don't-
material.
I don't have Wi-Fi when I leave the country.
Well, what do you have planned for the 30th?
The 30th, we don't have a meeting the 30th.
Well, that's why it's been suggested, is the day you meet with we'll have sandwiches with the Lakeville Selectmen,
Who's he?
right?
What's the 30th? Is that the Monday?
It's Monday.
That'll be a Monday.
Oh,
Yeah, what the hell?
3 weeks.
Yeah, do it,
We gotta do it anyway.
all right?
January
Here.
30th. Have them come here, tell them to
They
bring.
want to bring the sandwiches here?
Bring the sandwiches here.
here, we're not
We're
traveling.
we're too cheap
The
to buy
week, the
sandwiches.
week before is a really bad week too, so,
What's the week before?
the week before we have two building committee,
Committee meetings, yeah.
interviews, and we have a Monday night
We?
meeting.
What's this we stuff?
So, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, what's the 25th? Round hat. Huh,
That's Paul.
That's Paul.
yeah, do
Yeah.
you want,
You're
do you
staying
want
on that,
Bob
right?
here?
That's early morning, right?
Do you want Bob here?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway,
So, Lakeville
Won't hurt.
Selectmen 30th,
It won't hurt, will it?
Well,
at
here,
what time? What time?
6.
Lakeville Selectmen,
6.
6 o'clock?
Yeah, tell them to bring the food.
Bring the
We'll
sandwiches
bring-
here.
Listen, you never gave me the bill, right? Brownback, we need her better half?
Excuse you.
I think.
I mean,
Commit poor Bob without his consent.
No, I think the more,
Oh, jeez.
the more help the better, and,
I'll tell him.
yeah, there might be a senior that you don't need, that maybe shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, all right, that's
me.
fine.
Well, you're the chauffeur, right? That's only a couple more months though, right?
Unless,
Is this the annual town meeting? It seems like.
Lisa Pacheco is up next.
Hold on.
Near the bachelor's over.
Carlton, you must have missed your supper by now.
My stuff is waiting. It's in the warmer.
All right, so we need to discuss and appoint the Priority Development Committee as submitted by Planning Tech Lauren Moreau. We have Mark Rogers from the Planning Board, Kevin Bonato as a Health Agent, Kevin Dismaris as a Conservation Agent, Scott Barbado as the Building Commissioner, Chief Sylvia, Fire Department, and we need a Board of Selectmen rep.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And you know it.
No, I really don't want to. Paul should take over my school committee.
Do you want to do it?
I'll do it, I'll do it.
Okay,
Unless you want it.
I don't care. You can do it.
No, what? Okay.
I just didn't know if, you have Kevin, and then you have, Mark, is that gonna, and then you, is that gonna,
Oh, because of,
He's gonna
Planning.
taint, he's gonna taint the committee.
is that gonna, I don't know, is it? Why
I
don't you
don't
find out from
think
them?
it's going to, but
Find out from them tomorrow.
if you feel more, if you.
No, I don't feel one way or the
I
other.
I make a motion that we approve these people.
Yeah,
Oh, these people,
with-
yes.
but with
We'll
Bob-
figure out the selectmen's position, how's that?
Yeah, I mean, you volunteered,
Yeah,
and
Well,
unless
Lisa
there's
does have a
something,
concern that she's
well, unless
concerned
there's
about.
something
no,
that's
I
wrong.
just wanna make sure that that's okay with them and
Okay.
all of you, like
Okay.
if it
I'm
puts
gonna
it
talk
in
to
a-
them tomorrow anyhow.
All right, so then.
We're gonna discuss Paul's 24-hour.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All right, and we have
I was
a
the second.
change of status for John Pena as patrolman as submitted by Carlton.
Make a motion to approve.
You gotta say the numbers.
Hold on,
Say the numbers.
it's right here.
It's from Patrolman P1.
2406 to 2665. Do you have a motion to approve?
How much is it?
2406 to 2665.
That's educational incentive.
Yeah,
With
no,
everything
yeah.
in there.
I make a motion. to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
P1 to P2, correct?
All right, and then we have senior clerk, change of status for Deborah Allard, for retirement 1939 to 2036.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
When is her retirement date?
Chief?
Can we,
One more year, I think she's got.
Can you
Chief, do you know
find
when her
that out?
retirement date is?
I do not.
Okay.
Jack, can you find out when her retirement date is?
Sure.
All right, change of status for Barbara LaFleur, 2842 to 3041, length of service increase.
Make a motion to approve.
For the COA, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then hired, we have, change of status forms for auxiliary police officers. Joseph Cowing, Keelan Joes, Nathan Mello, Mark Gaspar, and Michael McDonald, as submitted by Police Chief Carlton Abbott, effective January 9th, 2017.
I'll recuse myself from the proceeding.
Can't you just, we can do one separately?
If you want to do
Let's
that.
do one separately so he can vote.
All right, so,
I recuse myself from Kalen A. Jones.
Right. I'll make a motion to approve everybody but Caitlin Joes.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve Caitlin Joes,
Kalen.
Caitlin Joes as an auxiliary police officer.
And I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
And then we have a, letter of resignation, from Daniel Stewart,
Chief.
effective December 15th.
Make the motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. Send a letter of thanks.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night, Carl.
All right, and then we need to, appoint the police subcommittee, Carlton Abbott, for the police station, Carlton Abbott, Jack Healy, Robert Joes, myself, Benjamin Levesque, Paul Sadek, Charles Sullivan, Mark Bonachari, and Mary Resendes Brown. Do I have a motion to approve this committee or subcommittee?
Only if he takes over my school committee. I'll make a motion to do that.
You should have put Serta up. You were smart.
Yeah.
Second that. I'll take it. I've already got.
I'm not that smart.
Well, I've already got the
Second.
school committee.
Second, anybody in second?
I said it.
Oh, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty then, I'm done.
Yeah, you're done all right.
Now, Paul's on this, so even if he's selected or not, he's gonna stay on this, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That's
See,
funny.
they already got me being voted out.
No, you just voted you in for another 3 years.
Date of upcoming Board of Selectmen's meetings, the 23rd, of January, January 30th, with the Board of Selectmen in Lakeville, February 6th, and February 21st. Are you gonna be back on the 21st?
I think we do all for the 21st.
We're gonna have a lot of people here on the
That'd be good.
21st.
Second. I make a motion.
For what?
Those are the days.
No, we don't need to make a motion for that.
Sure we do, because you wanna make sure you don't go on vacation.
We don't need to make a motion for that.
All right.
Oh, Patriots game on that day. Well, just come.
On a Monday?
Are you here for something, Jesse?
Yeah, Monday night. You remember you missed it?
Oh,
Executive
yeah.
session.
You were supposed to be here.
I wasn't?
Oh, yes, you were. All right. Look at it.
We're almost there.
Can I leave? Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2. In preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and to conduct contractual negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically Jessica Thomas, temporary treasurer collector. And it is my opinion, being the chairman, this is where I get this power, you know. Being the chairman, I can make a decision that it wouldn't be prudent to negotiate with you in open session, so we're asking to go into executive session.
And we're gonna reopen in open session. That was in here.
That wasn't on the agenda.
That wasn't on the agenda.
All right,
Can't
then
be done.
we'll have to wait. Okay.
Are we,
So would you guys like to go into executive session?
are we coming back in open?
No,
Do you wanna come back in open?
no.
No? No? We won't come back into open session. Motion made by Mr. Joe, seconded by Lisa Pacheco. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Poll the members. Mr. Joes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Mr. Sadik, yes. Lisa, Jessica, you can stay. Kent?
Have a good night.